watumishi wa Mungu Shahidi Mangao na Askofu Silas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة والرحمن الرحيم. والله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. والله الخالق البارئ المصور لك الأسماء الحسنى يسبحك ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وأنت العزيز الحكيم. Ya Allahu, ya Hannanu, ya Mannanu. Bariki viongozi wote wa kisiasa. Wabariki kina mama, wazee na watoto. Wabariki, tuletie mvua ya rehema. Kama umetuzidi, mashamba yamekauka, wanyama wanakufa. Tunakuomba wabariki jeshi la polisi, jeshi la nchi kavu, wako Somalia, wapambana na yule adui Al-Shabaab. Tunakuomba ya Allah walinde ndugu zetu Somalia, wameli, wabariki ya Rabbi, wagonjwa hospitalini, wape kupona kwa haraka. Yatekelezwe ya Allah kwa rehema zako. Saba zifunguliwe ya Allah, gharama ya maisha irudi chini ya Allah. IEBC iunde kwa ushirikiano na wale IEBC waliofuta Mwenyezi Mungu kutoka yao. Hani muombea haki, wapenda haki ya Allah, simama na Azimio tupate haki yetu ya Allah. Tunakuomba ya Allah mbariki Raila Amolo Odinga. Amekuwa mtu mzima ya lakini yuko very aggressive. Tunakuomba mpe nguvu Raila Amolo Odinga, yeye na familia yake, mpe nguvu aweze kuzunguka Kenya nzima kuongea na Wakenya. Mpe afya njema na usalama wako ya Allah. Na wale wataka.
So we are praying based on this scripture. Shall we pray? Father, in the name of your Son Jesus, founded every nation and determined the boundaries thereof, that man may seek you, including this nation. You founded it yourself. You determined the boundaries. You determined their rogue leadership. Lord, we pull them down because the scripture says, every tree that my Father did not plant shall be uprooted. We uproot every wrong for inclusivity. Men and women who are fighting for free space. Jehovah, give us the strength, give us the power, give us the wisdom in the name of Jesus.
Your Excellency, Engineer Dr. Raila Amolo Odinga, Your Excellency, Honorable Martha Wangari Karua, Your Excellency, Honorable Mwanzo members of the civil society, leaders of different cadres, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. May I just mention that the next phase of our program will require your attention. Kindly, all forms, you may put it on Abubakar Zain to guide us in the next phase of this program.
Excellent. Went to see our leadership and requested that we take a pause. Mark my words, I'm being careful about the words I choose. Make a pause in that phase of struggle to allow for the start of a credible process of national dialogue. So our leaders want to listen to you. So the program will start with a small presentation entitled Anatomy of Rigged Presidential Elections 2022 by our team of experts. The reason why we have that presentation is to share with you a snapshot of the evidence that is in the possession of our leaders concerning the rigging of the last elections, so that even you would have an idea of what credible evidence is available. You will get a summary of it. If we had a lot of time, we would have gone into the details of it. This will be led by our IT team, and the introduction will be done by our brother Kwenye. Then we will have an address by civil society and faith community leaders who would speak for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we will have a whole plenary. So if you are not listed and you are not called upon in the short list, don't despair, you will get an opportunity to speak. Our leaders are here to listen to you. And then only after we have had the plenary is then we will ask our leaders to share their thoughts with us and to comment and respond to some of the issues that you may have put on the table. So this meeting is designed as a small, intimate meeting where you can express yourself without reservations. The last part of the program, we'll be listening keenly to you and we'll be taking notes, and then we will have draft resolutions of this meeting so that you do not think that we were not listening carefully. And the presentation of those draft resolutions will be made here, and you will be free to affirm that those are truly the presentations that you made here as citizens. Ndugu zangu, watu wengi waliokuwa hapa ni watu waliokuwa katika harakati za kukomboa nchi yetu katika vipindi mbalimbali katika historia ya nchi yetu. So without much further ado, I would like to now call on my brother Kwenye to come and introduce the presentation. When you are called upon during plenary to speak, you will also have an opportunity to introduce yourself. So we are giving an opportunity for people to settle so that you can watch the presentation, and then after the presentation we will start with the program of the citizens with the permission of our leaders. Thank you very much for your kind attention and for your participation. Brother Kwenye.
Your Excellency Raila Odinga, Your Excellency leaders of Azimio, comrades and friends from the civil society. First of all, because as far as the struggle of this country is concerned, these are hallowed grounds. As my brother Zen said, if these walls could speak, if only correct history of this country could be written, Fungamano House would occupy a very, very, very central role. So it's not by accident that we chose to be here. Secondly, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, comrades, for keeping the spirit alive. Once again, you have demonstrated that as Kenyans, we have always resisted any form of domination, any form of oppression. Before the coming of colonialism, we did it against the Portuguese and other invaders. In the advent of colonialism, from the coast, starting with Mekatilini, to Taita with Mwangeka, to Kambani, Mwindibengu, to Nairobi, Wayaki Wahinga, Hariduku, and others, to the Rift, Koitalel and others, to Nyanza, Otenyo, and Jidoteko. Everywhere in this country, we resisted. Then the fight against colonialism, again, is very well documented. And then when we got independence, and we had rogue leadership, Kenyans never folded their hands. We fought until multipartyism was reintroduced. And the center of those struggles was Ufungamano House. You are called upon once again to stand because our country is going. We are losing our country, as you are going to see shortly. So, comrades and friends, mine is not to make a speech. It's simply to introduce the presentation that is going to be made. And the gist of this presentation is just to tell you where your vote was stolen. Simply, where they picked it and took it. So when you see us coming to the street and saying we want our country back, don't think Raila Odinga or Martha Karua or Eugene Wamalwa are mad people that will just go and face tear gas for no reason. There is a reason, and that's what we want you to see. Barnabas, please, I'm giving you the floor. So, in less than 30 minutes, you are going to be shown what is in the server and the reason why we are demanding that that server be open. So, it's not that we are dropping in the darkness. We are not on a shopping expedition. So what we are saying is that we have this. Let them open the server and prove us wrong about these results. Welcome, our presenter.
Thank you, sir. Dignitary is present. I will take a very short time to take us through something here and then just leave the stage. Before that, let me just describe myself because probably you are seeing me for the first time. And you may be wondering, why are you here? My name is Barnabas Otieno. Well, I'm a son of one person. Maybe I need to honor him here for some reason. His name was called Jekonia Olago. In the early days, he was one of the youth leaders of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And at some point, this is a story told to me by Professor Peter Nyang'yongo, that somewhere between Kisumu and Butere, around Maseno, at some point when he was the youth leader, he gathered a group of youths and they stopped a train from traveling from Kisumu to Butere for a period of 3 hours and more, until the colonial askaris were called to come and disperse them. And with that, he was taken to Uganda. I don't know how Jaramogi got wind of that, and took him to Uganda. And he stayed there for a number of years, then came back and quit issues of politics. He joined the church. I only came to realize he was important when he died in 1980. And none other than Dr. Robert Ouko came to attend the funeral. And he sat us down, and at that point he told us to look ahead. And that's how I went and studied. So, as I am here, I can tell you that I am well educated. I went to Kenyatta University, cleared in 1995 with a BA Science. Then 2007, I did my master's in ICT, in Information Systems at Nairobi University. So that means when I stand here, I will be giving you substance that can be related to. So with that, let me just take you through the presentation, and I want to be as short as possible so that the time taken is brief. When the lecture to do a tally this time, because my first vote was in 1992, and all along we've been voting and not seeing so much success in the vote. So this time, I said, because I could see results streaming in to the IEBC servers, not really the portal at Bomas, I decided to pick up those results and tally them myself directly. And when I tallied, it happens that the results that I got were exactly what was at the Bomas. Then I got discouraged and left the whole thing. But then at some point later, I decided to go to the secretariat and talk to the executive director of the party, of the Orange Democratic Movement. Then, as I was trying to present to him what I was trying to do, because I was trying to see some anomalies here and there in my analysis, but I couldn't figure out what exactly were the anomalies. Then he flooded me with another set of data. He told me that we have this data that has come from somebody that they call the whistleblower. And as we stand here, please don't confuse me for a whistleblower. I am not. I am just here to compare the two results and give you the outcome. So the whistleblower is not here, and so please don't take that as the case. So I'm going to take you through what the findings were, as brief as possible. In the analysis, I came up with the issue of the national tally, which graded down to the regional tallies to constituent. Actually, the building block started from the polling station tallies so that I could get what His Excellency had been talking about, because it was like he is saying 8.1 million. But for me, when I added in the IEBC portal, I was getting 6.9 million. So I wanted to know where is exactly this 8.1 million coming from. And then I decided to tally direct from the polling stations. And when I tallied, this is exactly what I got, which I'm going to take you through, and then leave you with a site to go and check by yourselves. I got that 8.11244 million. That gave His Excellency the 56.9%. And also I got 5.938,160. That gave the other His Excellency 41.7%. Again, I compared with what I got from, so that gave me a vote difference of 2.174 million votes. And these are realities, because these are data that you can add by yourselves. I'll give you, and you will check. Then I looked at the IEBC, then I realized this is the result that came out when I was tallying. I got that I want to move very fast, so please kindly allow me to refer to our two leaders. Sometimes my mouth will be slipping and I'll be calling them by name. I'll just be saying Raila, and I'll also be saying Ruto, but it's out of full respect that I'll be doing that so that I move faster. So here, I noticed that His Excellency Ruto got that, and His Excellency Raila got 6.9 from the IEBC servers. Because here you can see that I am less 36 polling stations that I did not get from the IEBC portal. So that gave the difference of 216, 730 votes, while we know that the portal of IEBC is talking of about 233,000 votes. I want to take you through some things here. I have two sets of forms that I will show you where they are. In one set of form, the title may look like this. And if you look at it, you compare with the next one that I'm showing. Actually, I've showed one here, and I've showed the other one. And I cannot tell the difference between those two in the heading. It's not possible to tell the difference between those two. And then I went and checked on the sign sections, and then I realized again that I cannot also tell a difference between the two in the sign sections. But then now it was like, how do we get the real difference? If I go to the content of these forms, you realize that the data is in a picture form. And in that picture form, it's very hard to read in some software. So again, by looking at them in a nutshell, it just with a naked eye, you're not able to differentiate. So in one form, it's like that, and in another one, it's like that. So looking at this and looking at that, the only thing that can be easily visible is the totals down here. You can see that here, in this form I have the Right Honorable getting 24,544 votes, and His Excellency Ruto is getting 12,808 votes. But if you go to the other one, now you get that the Right Honorable Prime Minister is getting 24,444. Now if you compare with the other one, there's already 100 votes not there accounted for, because here it is 24,544, but here it is 24,444. Then when you go to Dr. Ruto's side, you're going to see 12,808, but on this other side it is 12,908. Now that data is massive inside there, but where to pick that 100 that has been taken from Jacob and given to Ruto on the other side is very hectic for the 291 forms that are there, that is plus including the diaspora. So I decided to subject this to a system that gave me clear pictures. And in that system, I started noticing a few things. You can see here that in this station, Jacob has 270 and 79 for Ruto. But when you come to this side, now he has 170 and 179 for Ruto. And I picked, that is noticeable. So with that, you can easily see that the 100 has been taken from these two, and then the 100 added here has been added at 179. And it's only in this one polling station, which is actually station number 1, in a stream of 10 polling stations, which were not touched. Only one of them was touched, and the change was there. I give you another one of a different one. Here, you can see that in this station called Mivumoni Primary School, Jacob has 277 and Ruto has 102. But when you come to this, now he has 77, and here it is 302. And noting that these are forms that reflect all the features of IEBC, and when you look at it clearly, this cannot be an edited, manual edited. It is something that was typed through the same system that was typing on the other one, and then imposed on this watermarked paper, which is officially owned by IEBC only, nobody else. We have 88, and this is 211. So 111 changes to 211, and 191 changes to 291. And here, 188 changes to 88. When you come down here, there's also another one where you can see that here he has 156 and Ruto has 132. But then when you come to this, now he has 106 and here he has 182. So by looking at it, it was a deliberate effort to take 50 from here and also a 150 on the other side. So by looking at this, you can see that there's a number of deductions that took place. But now, in the initial figure, Jacob should be having 34, 345, and Ruto should be having 11, 709. But in this other portal, the one at the IEBC portal, the one at Bomas, the one that was used to declare results, now that gives him 33, 795, and Ruto now has 12, 259. It shows that he's still leading in this constituency, but you can see a number of votes have been taken from him and given to the other side. Now, let me take you to everything so that I finish and let you see what happened. Now, in a way of which I don't want to waste time, this is directly found online. We have placed it there, and it's purely available for everybody to see. When we tried to show it a little to the journalists the following evening, some people decided to inject some code onto it, and it crashed instantly. When we asked those who are hosting it, they told us that that injection is coming from your country, Kenya. So we decided to shift it to a different hosting platform so that it became private, and they have been unable to inject anything on it again. So it is available, and you can get it anytime you want. And I want to take you through it. Now, that is figures that already been discussed. That has been discussed. Now, let me take you to a summary of all the constituencies first, before taking you to the specific polling stations. In all the constituencies, you can see that after analyzing the whole project, we realized that in Mombasa County, it is only two constituencies that were affected, and that is in Likoni and in Mvita, where Jacob lost 100 votes and Dr. Ruto gained 100 votes. And here Jacob lost 400 votes and Dr. Ruto gained 400 votes. Then when you come to the others in Kwale, only 2 were affected. And here we have the figures as you can see. So this is what happened in Kilifi, only one station. I mean one constituency and one station, that is. Now, I want to take you to the regional values, because it will be faster to look at them in regional formats than in county formats. Now, when you look at the regional values, you note that at the end, IEBC awarded Jacob 649,000 votes and awarded Dr. Ruto 336,000 votes. That is the official result from the IEBC portal. But when we look at the other result that the ED gave me, it resulted that Jacob was to have 651 and Ruto to have 334, meaning he lost 1,950 votes and Ruto gained 1,950 votes in Coast region in total. Then when we come to Northeastern region, I'll show you again here that now IEBC awarded Jacob 352,000 votes and awarded Dr. Ruto 196,000 votes. But in our analysis on the other side, it gave Jacob 374,000 votes and Dr. Ruto 174, meaning 22,000 votes were taken from Jacob and Dr. Ruto added 21,000 votes. You may think these are the so-called hot air, but I will show you where they come from. Now, when we come to Upper Eastern, the IEBC awarded Jacob 149,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto was given 731,000 votes, while in the analysis we have, Jacob was to get 232,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto was to get 648,000 votes. Now, here the deductions go higher, and now he's losing 83,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto is gaining 83,000 votes. When we go to Lower Eastern, we note that here, IEBC total gave Jacob 769,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto was given 250,000 votes. This looks clear, but you see when we look at what we added on the other side, we have 770,000 votes and 245. That means in the Lower Eastern, Jacob lost only 1,400 votes. And then Dr. Ruto gained 5,100 votes. Now, we come to Central Province. Now in Central Province, we have IEBC total in Bomas giving Jacob 423,000 votes against Dr. Ruto's 1.6 million votes. While when we add on to the other side, Jacob should be having 1.027 million votes and Dr. Ruto having 1.016 million votes. I will show you where they all came from. And here he lost a total of 604,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto gained 615,000 votes from Central Province. And we decided to settle here a little bit and say that it's common knowledge that a sitting president was coming from Central Province and he was on this other side. So it's possible that there was a sharing of 50-50 votes in Central Province. And given that this data is almost reflecting that, I think a 50-50 is a fair game in Central Province, knowing the people, how vibrant they are in that place. Then we come to Rift Valley, which is the largest voting bloc. And here, IEBC comfortably gave Jacob 1.1 million votes from Bomas, and Dr. Ruto was given 2.666 million votes from Bomas. And our addition from Rift Valley gave Jacob 1.4 million votes, and Dr. Ruto 2.3 million votes. Looking at it, 1.1 and 1.4 in a voting block of the whole of Rift Valley is not far from the truth. It's true that you can see that it's possible that the 1.4 was highly attainable, because we should have seen what we were seeing in Central, in Rift Valley, because in Central it was 400,000 votes only, and in Rift Valley he has 1.1 million votes. And this other system is not exaggerating, it is giving 1.4, so we can see that he lost 336,000 votes in Central, in Rift Valley as a whole, and Dr. Ruto gained 346,000 votes. When you come to Western region, the ruling votes as we speak, Jacom had 845,000 votes against Dr. Ruto's 513 in IEBC portal. But when we analyze the other data set, we have Jacom having 892,000 versus 466,000 votes, meaning in Western province, or Western region, all of it, he lost 47,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto gained 46,000 votes. You can see that the consistency in that what you lose on this side, you gain on that side, almost gives credibility to this as a very pre-planned outcome that was meant to be. When you come to Nyanza region, we have IEBC giving Jacom a total of 1.87 million votes versus Dr. Ruto's 283,000 votes. Knowing Nyanza as it is, well, we know that's possible. Then when we look at what comes out at the other data set, we have Jacom having 1.89 million votes, just 1.9 million votes, and then Dr. Ruto getting 261. So here, he was also denied 20,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto awarded 22,000 votes. Then we come lastly to Nairobi as a region, which is also a county on its own. Then we have, from IEBC portal, he's given 757, and Dr. Ruto is given 535,000 votes. But in the other data set, we have 822, 623, and 470, giving him a loss of 65,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto gaining 65,000 votes as well. Apparently, the other data set for diaspora was not available, so we relied basically on the portal data, and that's why we have 0-0 there. So we have a set of data that were not available, and that is why we only work with what was there. So looking at it carefully, you will note that in the end, His Excellency, the Prime Minister, lost 1.182 million votes, and Ruto was awarded 1.2 million votes nationally. And in that, now, if you add all these data values and all these, you're going to have 8.112, 244 million votes. And then Dr. Ruto having 5.9. So when you hear His Excellency the Prime Minister saying, I have been having 8.1 million votes, this is the breakdown in the constituency format. And Dr. Ruto, he has been saying, has been having 5.9 million votes. This is the breakdown in the constituency. On this first column for downloads, you have the original server form. That is the form that was obtained later from IEBC. We have listed them all here. And then we have the Bomas portal forms. Someone may be asking, where did you get the Bomas portal forms? Because they removed them from their portal. I told you that I got sort of excited with seeing that data set, and I said, let me download it earlier. So I downloaded all of them at the right time when it was still fresh. And I can show you here that these are the data from the IEBC. You can see my download dates. Here, let's modify the last download dates that this was all on August. These are 888, I mean. You can see 888 and the dates and then 2022. That means these are the authentic data forms 34B from the IEBC that were used to inform Form 34C, that were used to inform Form 34D, that were finally declared. So these are the correct data sets. So that's where we have them. And my logs are showing clearly that they are genuine and they are authentic. So if you download this, then you will be actually downloading the server form. You go through it, look at it, you will see that it's exactly a copy of the other form. That let me go and download it again. For this one, this is the IEBC portal form. And if you look at them, you can only detect from the signatures that these forms are not far from being, they are not different at all. So let me take you to the signature part and look at them. I need to look at just this telephone number written here. It is 8 and 5 is crossing this line. And when I take you to this, you can also see that 8 and 5 is crossing the line. So it's basically the same form signed by the same people. But when you take them through a process that we did, then I take you here and you'll see the outcome. Now let me be clear that we had 4 candidates. Means nothing was deducted, nothing was added to the other 2 candidates. So instead of bogging you down with so much data, we decided to omit them and compare only the 2 data sets for the first 2 candidates. And so this is what came up from Likoni. If you look at it, we have the station and then the stream of the station. For example, Mtongwe had 3 streams and they're all captured there as this is the stream. The first values are the server forms for the Honorable Prime Minister, and the other is the server form and the server results for the Dr. Ruto. And then on this other side we have the Bomas results for the Prime Minister and Dr. Ruto also here. So when we try to, just simple math, we try to subtract one data set from the other, we have results here. You will see votes deducted from Raila and votes added to Ruto on this other side. So it runs, because now this is a computer system, you don't worry about it, what it gives you, that's it. Then it highlighted this particular station, that now Jacob has lost 100 here, and Ruto has gained 100. And it gives you a total of 100 and 100 here. That is there. So that is what is recorded here as Ruto, as Jacob losing 100 and Ruto gaining 100. If you come to this, it's the same process. Okay, let me take you through this. You will note that let me take you through them a bit. Just as a clarity, so that you see. I'll only do one, and then the rest will follow just like that. So I have shown you here that here it is indicating that only this liquid depth has 100 lost and 100 gained. So we go and confirm with the forms, the original forms. Because we don't want to add or remove anything, we pick on this. And then we go to that liquid depth where it is, and you will see that here Jacob has 270 and Ruto has 79. And this is the form from Likoni constituency. If you look at this form, and you pick it up and go with it to IEBC, they can easily accept it that this is their form because it has all the features that are needed for it to be an IEBC form. Then, when we go and check on this other side, to tell you that the system wasn't cooking anything, we go to that same Likodep, and we note that here Jacom has 170, and now Ruto has 179. If you compare with this, it is 270 and 79. Now you can see the trick that was being played here. The trick that was being played here is that you can see in this column, Jacob is having basically what we call tens of this scene. Really not that's what I wanted to say, but I'll explain that in another part. What you can see here in Likodep is that he has 270 and Ruto has 179. And okay, what I wanted to say is this. You can see that there is a certain format, a standard here that he's getting in this particular constituency. He's getting tens, while Jacob is getting hundreds. So this is, by human behavior, a possibility that if this is the same ward, and looking at it that this is the same station, it is possible that these are his actual values everywhere. When we analyze this Likodep, again, we noticed that the room that voted highest in the constituency as a whole was, I think, room number 4, coming from Likodep, was the highest, returning 99.8% of the voters voting for Jacob, and only 0.03% voting for Dr. Ruto. Then suddenly, in one of those rooms, you come and check, and you realize it has shot to 179, which became a flag. So it became a flag. We had to go back to the forms and counter-check, and we found it, that it was there. So that is it from that place. I take you to this, which also has a 50 difference, and you note that the results are returning 0 variances until you reach some stations. That here in Gazi Primary Room 1, there is 223 and 134, which suddenly in Bomas changes to 123 and 234. That is Bomas. This is what is the server's results that was released later. And as a data analyst, we couldn't just take this simple. It was looking like it was really planned. That you jump to another place, and you note that here, Jacob has 277, and you can see the trend here. It is 200s, 100s, 300s, and then you have 277, and Ruto has 102. And because he has shot up with 102 in one of these places, it was the easiest place to attack. And then to remove 200 votes and leave him with 77, and give Dr. Ruto now 300 votes. With a deduction of 200 in one place, and an addition of 200 in another. The same trend moved on like that, until now when we realize that this was a really planned thing, because if it's hundreds, 200s, 300s, it's easier to even say that there was a system generating it. But no, there was no system generating, it was deliberate. That's why we have a 50 here. 50, you can see a clear 156, changes to 106, and 132 changes to 182. If you think that's not true, let me take you just to this 51, and you look at it. So that 50 is found from Kilulu Primary. So in Kilulu Primary, where could it be? Should be the last bit. Here it is. You have 156 and you have 132 here in Kilulu. And then when you come to the Bomas in Msambweni, again we look for Kilulu in Bomas. Now it is clear here it is 106 and it is 182. Because if you add all these values, they'll give you exactly 33,000 votes here and 12,000 on this side. But also if you add this side, you will get 34 and 11,000 votes. So what they were doing is to maintain the total number of valid votes, not to change at all. So registered voters, not affected. Total number of valid votes, not affected. The only places where the effects were seen were on the two columns for Jacob and Dr. Ruto. All right, I want to take you to a different type of manipulation. That was direct transfer. You take here, add there. I want to take you to a different type of manipulation. And let me take you to, I'll choose just a few. A place called Tabaj in Wajir County. I picked on it because it was sort of unique. Here, we noted that you could tell who is winning in one station and who is losing in another one, because at some point, Jacob is running the show, and then suddenly he loses in some points, and then he starts picking up and running the show in some areas, and then goes on like that and runs the show. At the same time, Dr. Ruto is losing somewhere, and then he picks up and runs the show, just like that, and then all over like that. So you can't tell at the end of it the real performance in this constituency. So what they were doing with that kind is to flip the results. And by flipping the results, you can easily see that now this column, which was belonging to Raila, is now belonging to Ruto, and this column that was now belonging to Ruto is now belonging to Raila. And these are the servers, the IEBC portal results that we picked up from the public portal that they told us to pick up from. They are the ones who told us, add them by yourself, use your calculators and get your results. We did that, and so these are the flips that were there. In these flips, you can easily see that what is lost on one side is gained on the other side, and what is gained on one side, like here, is lost on the other side. And with that, what they were focused on is the final tally. So the final tally gives Jacob a loss of 823, and Dr. Ruto gains 823 votes. And that flip has worked perfect with very minimal view of what has been flipped. But the issue is, there's now a wide difference of 1,600 votes that you can see there. Because if one person is on the other end of the negative, and the other person is on the other end of the positive, the gap is very wide. So in that case, we are talking of a wide gap of 1.6, or rather 1,600 votes. This is another type of manipulation that was there. And this is exactly what took place in Central Province and parts of Rift Valley. So Central Province had a lot of swap votes. And then Rift Valley also had that kind of swapping of votes. But in places where they realized we could take only just this bit, they were doing exactly that. So that was my analysis, and you can see it. Maybe if you want to confirm, you will go later and confirm by yourself, but I can take you just through this Tabaj one, and then you confirm by yourself. Where is Tabaj? Here. Let me close this Sambueni because I'm done with it. In Tabaj, the survey results are revealing that the Right Honorable Prime Minister, these are his column, this is his column, and this is Dr. Ruto's column, this is David Mwaure's column, and that is Wajakoya's. So when we look at it, these two columns not affected. But let's look at the other Bomas results now in Tabaj. I hope I still have internet. Let me check. I hope they haven't attacked us again. This is the problem I was having earlier. Anyway, they can't beat us because I have it offline as well. So, Tabaj is in Wajir. Yeah, Tabaj is here. Let me pick it from offline and show it here. Here now you can easily see that on the server is indicating that these are column belonging to Jacob, and this other column belongs to Ruto. While on this one, you can now see the 95, 9, so on has changed and has now turned to this other side. So basically, that's what happened. And you can even see that the final tallies are now swapped. Here it is 8, 9, 12, and Jacob now, Ruto has now 9, 7, 35 from the bottom. That is the data used to declare the president, while here, the 9 belongs to Jacob, and the 8 and 8,900 belongs to Ruto. So it's a swap, giving a loss of just that. That's another type of manipulation. Now I'll take you to the, I think, 2 more types of manipulations, and it will guide a little. I had to go to Mavoko in Machakos. So Machakos, Mavoko, we have everything faring on well from the beginning. As you can see here, the Bomas is reflecting exactly what the server is reflecting. It's reflecting all the way until when you reach some level, and you know they are smart. They don't affect it at the beginning because you may identify early. It is affected at the end of the data. So in this case, it was like Jacob gets his normal votes, but Dr. Ruto has added 100 votes in some stations, and to this point, he ended up gaining 3,600 votes for free, just like that. Now I take you to Oljorok in Nyandarua because I want to pick a few from places. Oljorok in Nyandarua. Now, for those who normally say that probably Jacob did not fare well in Central Province, you can see here that the survey results are indicating the Jacob's values in hundreds, and Dr. Ruto's also in hundreds, like that. But now, with just a thought that we need to be uniform throughout, they decide to remove all the hundreds and leave him with tens only, so that in Oljorok, he's having only tens, and wherever there's hundreds, they get and take that 100 and add it directly to this other side. These are not my data. These are not the Secretariat's data. I'm standing here on behalf of the ODM Secretariat, not me. So those who came late, I am not a whistleblower. I am just a person who is with the Secretariat and explaining the data that was there. So, in this case, you will note that it is like whether the other person gets 200 and the other person loses 100 doesn't matter. As long as it is flat, tens, and the other person gets their hundreds. So here you can see he goes ahead and even gets 200, while Jacob loses 100. Now this is another type that showed up in Central Province. And so in this Oljorok, he lost 4,200 votes, and Dr. Ruto gained 4,400 votes. Yeah, so I'll not take you to the regional forms because I've already showed you where to find them. They are here. But trust me, we are working with a team that they crash it, we raise it, they crash it, we raise it. So, lastly, or second last, before I take you to Rift Valley, is Othaya. I have also Othaya here to check on. And you can note that here they decided now to do it. I think these were now the last minute rushes to bridge the gap, meet the constitutional threshold, declare president, things work. So here it is take 100 and add even from the beginning, and then where you are tired, stop. So they got tired there and stopped and everything. And they realized also that on this other part, he was faring well, and on this other part, he wasn't faring that well. So it was like give him a standard outcome of tens, and Dr. Ruto gets a standard outcome of hundreds. And with that, 6,800 votes lost and 7,100 votes gained. Yes, so I want to take you to Mwea, where I have an issue with the farms there. Mwea is found in Kirinyaga, I think. Where is Mwea? Here. You can see Mwea almost looks like, yes, in the servers, there were these values here, and then there were these values here for Dr. Ruto in the servers, but they are very questionable servers. In this part, I want to take you directly to the forms and see some of the mischievous things that were happening in the forms. So let's go to one of the forms. This, I want to take you first to the IEBC form at the Bomas. Here you'll be happy to look at it and say this data was done well. And here we have 71, 92, 17, so on. And Dr. Ruto gaining 317, this and that. And when you look at it, the form looks clean. Nothing mischievous on it. And if you look at it, this is still okay. This is how their results were looking at, like at the Bomas. And then you look at it and everything is fine. Until now, Jacob is given 12,912 votes versus Ruto's 75,000 votes. But let's look at the whistleblowers form and see some mischief that somebody was doing before they could upload the values to the IEBC servers. If you look at it, on the other side we have 71, but look at this. This is 171, and it's not even 171. There was a cut of some values that were superimposed on a result that was here. So that cut was foolishly done, such that it did not cover every data. So in this case, only IEBC knows the values that are lying behind this 71, 92, 78. Only them would know, nobody else. And you can see that in this case, there were hundreds being gotten here, and there were also hundreds being gotten here. But now when you go to IEBC portal, in the server, in the Bomas, it is clear that it was rectified, and now Jacob is given his 71, and Ruto has his comfortable 317. So even if he lost in Mwea, even if he lost in Mwea, then we have here hundreds and 300 is even seen here. We have a 300 seen here, we have 200 seen here, but this 66 is not part of this 2. Looking at it keenly, this 66 is not part of this 2. There must be a 2 and then 2 more values behind it. So this happened at the Bomas. And when you look at it, at the end of it, the results addition do not reflect this with those cuts. And you can see those cuts were even made on this particular data, this set. This is normally the hardest image to edit. This image is called JPEG. The JPEG image is one of the hardest to edit. We can edit easily what is called a bitmap image, and the bitmaps are these ones. This is a bitmap image, but this is a JPEG image. So how they edited even a JPEG image and superimposed data on top of it is still very questionable. So that happened in Mwea. And from the look of things, what was happening in Mwea there is probably what was happening in very many stations in Central Province. So that's why IEBC is the only people who can tell you the actual values found in Central Province. Lastly, is to take you to where now things were done blatantly. It's like we don't care. We are doing it and we care less. Here, I'm taking you to Tarbo and Tinderet in Uasin Gishu. Where is this part? Uasin Gishu, let's look at Tarbo. If you look at Tarbo here, look at a section like here, this particular section, where, okay, this was a swamp. This was also another swamp, and you can see that in some places, Jacob is getting up to 400 votes, and Ruto is getting 6 votes, and so on. Okay. So after that, they swapped it and realized that at the end of it, we have a total vote of 25,000. So lastly, because of time, and this is something you can go over by yourselves, I think the website is stable. It's not been touched. Is lastly, Tinderet. Tinderet is found in Nandi, and we have this. So this was the worst manipulation so far because there was no swapping, nothing. It's just like, even if you have 201, we are giving you just 1. And the 200 we give to Ruto. If you have 304, we give you just 4, and the 200 we give to Ruto. Even if you have 200, we give you 0, and the 200 we give to Ruto. If you have 30, we still give you 0, and the 30 we give to Ruto. If you have 400, as long as we give you the last value, it doesn't matter. We get the rest and give to the other side. So these are the types of manipulations which were done in that. And in this case, you can see Jacob lost 11,000 votes, 385. This is an ODM property, and by extension, Azimio la Umoja property. So I would refer you to go to a website that is called kenyaelectionresults.com. Now, people go type other things. It's not Kenya's election results. Neither is it Kenya elections result. You have to type it correctly as kenyaelectionresults.com, one word, and you will have your full analysis there. For those who don't want to go through everything, you have a PDF format of the entire polling stations, 46,000 of them, and what happened in there. It is a little big, and maybe I'll just download it to show you how it is, so that you can see the intermittency that was being used to manipulate various places, according to the 2 data sets. Here, because here it's clear enough to show you that we did not access 234 server forms, 34B. Rather, we only accessed 238 server form 34B, and 53 forms were not available. So this analysis does not include 53 stations. And those 53 stations, they are all highlighted here. If you see something written download and there is nothing to download, means there is no form there. Just like that. So at the end of it, you have your values. You can see that everything looks fine in the polling stations. Yali is fine, Likoni looks fine. Until you come here, you see your first deduction. Then you come, other constituencies look fine. Until you come here, you have your other deductions. And then everything looks fine. You come here, you have your deduction. You have your deduction like that. Until places where you have swaps and so on. Thank you. Done. We decided to go and check on what is called the file size. The file size indicates whether forms are originating from the same source or they are originating from different sources. Now, when we looked at them, we noticed that all the server forms were having this type of figures. Like now, the Jomvu has 3.9 megabytes, while Bomas is having 5 megabytes. And then when you come to others, these ones are having lower megabytes, and then the Bomas are having higher megabytes. If you look at it, you note that the scanners that scanned the forms at the bomas were not the same scanners that scanned the forms that were being posted at the portal. Now, what is the technical explanation behind this, if we can ask? It means, point number one, the scanners that were scanning forms at bomas were of higher resolution. That means they were much more clearer, they were much more technical, and they were much more expensive. That is the explanation behind it. The scan quality. Then we started analyzing. Why would that happen? In 2013, 2017, there's a time that people were glued onto their screens and no results were coming. People were blaming IEBC, but it was a technical error that they could not resolve at that time because they already formatted their scanners to send high resolution data sets. So those data sets went and jammed the system, and in that case, results refused to flow. So when they said we are going to correct these things, we highly anticipate that the KIEMS kits that they reformatted later were now allowed to send lower resolution data sets. And once, that is the reason why this 2022 election, there were no jamming. If you would go to their website, you would get results. Every time you will get results. That is how we managed to even download all the results. So it's a pointer that the files from the lower resolution are files that came directly from the field. And that means they came from the returning officers directly to a specific server that was undisclosed. And then they were being taken and reformatted and then scanned again with a higher resolution server, a scanner that would give you now, check at this only, the conning, where there was only one manipulation of one polling station. We have 4.6 megabytes of the result from the server, and the bombers one now raises it to 9.6 megabytes. So that is just it, to show that there was a little bit of a change. This is subject to confirming if you can access the actual KIEMS kits, and also is the only one who has rights of access to those ones. God bless you. Thank you.
Let's compare this with what is in there. And I don't know why they're afraid. Because if I was the winner, I would rush and give you this to prove to you. But why are they reluctant? Kuna kitu. Sivyo? Si kuna kitu. Secondly, who was administering the elections? Wasn't it IEBC? Wasn't it IEBC? And the chair of IEBC was who? Chebukati. So why has William Ruto now assumed of IEBC? We are not asking Ruto to open the servers because he was not IEBC. So why is he always saying servers want to be opened and he was not the IEBC chair? Ask yourself those questions, and then please, you can take over. Where's it? Then please, that's what we have to present. Asante.
So, because some of you know me as an artist, I don't think that was enough in terms of appreciating both Double O, Odoro Mwen, and our brother Barabas. So we do Kamoshi, you know how to do Kamoshi, yeah? And we call the rain and we gather the clouds. So Kamoshi. Alafu tunaanza manyuki. Kuwa inaongezeka. Kuwa sana. Radi! Thank you very much. Now I will just make one simple announcement to remind us how this meeting is slightly different from the kind of meetings people are used to. I've seen a number of our honorable members have joined us. According to our leadership today, your role is to take very keen notes. This is a people's meeting. So we are now entering a phase where a select number of individuals who had indicated on a first-come, first basis that they would like to speak in this gathering. Then after those about 8 to 10 people, we go to plenary, and plenary will be held in a way which basically says show of hand, and then we strike all the sides and give people show of hands. Those who are still slightly standing at the door, there are few chairs remaining upstairs, so you could go and find yourself to the balcony. The first person and brother and comrade who had indicated their wish to share their thoughts with the leadership is none other than Brother Kasheke Gashi from the Social Justice Center. Brother Kasheke. Brother Kasheke, as he's coming, normally he speaks with fireworks and consistency in ideology. So please.
Viva Azimio, viva! Forward with the People's March State House, forward! Kwa presidency na baba na nyinyi wote, freedom fighter, mama yetu Martha Karua, na all the leaders here, Azimio. I really appreciate you for coming back here to the shrine of resistance. As you know, miaka yote na baba, ukiyasoma historia ya baba, even his naming, Laila Amolo Odinga, he struggled for his name. Just imagine when you are young, now wana priest ataka kukubatisha sana nguvu, akupatie majina ambayo babako hataki, na babako anasema hapana, he must get an African name. Just imagine walitoka kwa kanisa, wakakaa for a month, then until the bishop said, no, you can bring them, I baptize them. Tukrapieni baba bana. So we are so humbled by a social justice movement to be here, and we are very happy that we are allowed to speak. Some of my colleagues will say something, but we have some issues as tunataka kuzungumzia kwamba because the electoral injustice ama the electoral justice campaign baba alizungumzia pia before 2017. Now what has been shared here is very clear that there was manipulation, and even German court, and I'm sure comrade like kina Amolo, Tende Amolo, when they are talking about this BVR, they have made German court imesema you can't leave machine to vote for people's leadership. Na baba amesema hivyo kuanzia 2017 and even now. And we can see here is manipulation. So sisi kile tunataka kwa hii electoral justice campaign na people's march to state house ni ya kwamba lazima pia tuambatane na issue za social justice. Long live baba, long live. Long live baba, long live. Forward with the resistance, forward. Forward with the march to state house, forward. Asante sana baba, niko nasema kwanza tunakusherekea kwa hiyo miaka yote. Kuna watu wanasema ati tuache kwa wilderness. Ati baba retire, tuache kwa wilderness. Sisi tukuliwe, usituache kwa sababu these are hyena, they are political hyena. There's two fellows in state house, they are political hyena. And they know when you leave us before we reach Canaan. Baba, ukituachilia azimio lako la kwetu before tufike Canaan na hao viongozi hapa, we are not safe. And I'm speaking from Madare. I coordinate Madare Social Justice Center. You have very many social justice centers that are emerging, following your footsteps of resistance. I've been here, and Sheikh Jumangawa anaweza fahamu, mama yetu Martha Karua na wengine pia. Nimekuwa kwa hii kiwanja for a long time tukiresist. Nimekuja Karen, tumekunywa chai, tukaongea zaidi mambo za bunge la mwananchi. Baba, we really respect you, and we are so happy that those people who are saying it's our time to retire before we reach Ghana. Maybe God did not decide that through BVR manipulation is how to reach Ghana. Maybe it's through the People's State House March. That's how we arrived there. Everybody walking. That's what God had decided. That's why He has kept Baba for a long time. So sisi tunasema tuna demand for electoral justice and social justice, where we include right to food, healthcare, education, water. Yeah? Na nimeona pia Jeremia Kioni. Nashukuru sana pia Mwangi wa area. Those articulation need to go to our people etc. Na wameanza kukubali. Ukisikiza kwa radio hata jana Mwangi Kionjori ameongea sana kusema ya kwamba kuna mtu anasema amebebea kila mtu akili, wanamkataza kuongea. So watu wameanza kukubali, they have started speaking. So this articulation we want to go to our people also, because they are the one also who are suffering. Kila mtu hajapata fertilizer. Mwangi wa area unajua watu walikuwa wanangojea wiki kadhaa ndio upate, they have not got. So these people have hijacked institution of democracy through popular statement na wakatupeleka pale tuko. Sasa tunasema pia immediate and end of police killing, brutality na state repression, as you know what happened. And also we are also demanding provision of clean water for all, provision of decent housing for all, na right to land for everyone, and immediate reclamation of land, grabbed public land spaces through actualization of TJRC report na Dungu report. This is very important Baba na viongozi wa Azimio. Kwa sababu the two fellows in State House, they don't have an idea where they are taking up. They just hijacked the instrument of power. And because they don't have an idea, they may lead this country to anarchy. It's so dangerous, they may lead this country to anarchy. So ni vizuri pia we go back to the framework that you started as a former Prime Minister and many others, so that we can articulate the vision of Azimio properly, and our people will be rallied behind the march to State House to reclaim our democracy, our institution, and our country through a holistic vision ambayo pia inazungumzia mambo ya TJRC, mambo ya the model of economy that you had proposed. Na ya mwisho pia tunasema an immediate stop, as we saw yesterday, ethnicization of security agencies and public service by Kenya Kwanza region. As you can see what they are doing, they are ethnicizing security agencies, as it happened before. So also we are demanding that, and we hope this also will be added in the resolution of today. The last one is also, Baba, I want to say that when you listen to your speech, and very clearly, that's why I'm saying that there is international conspiracy that robbed us this victory. It's so clear. When you listen to Baba's speech, when he was speaking to business people, he was so clear how to change this country. Starting with the formation of the business class in this country, how far we have come from. He was so clear. He was so clear. And even he was asked about the question of manufacturing. You know what he said? He talked about all the wealth of resources in Congo, in East Africa, everywhere he talked, especially in Congo. And he said everyone is looking for coltan in Congo, everyone is looking for metal in Congo. And he was so clear about how he revive manufacturing. And that's why, Baba, I'm saying this. And this must be well articulated. The international conspiracy, listen to the Pan-African speaking. And they said, if we give him this, we will allow him to take this. And he's talking about, and even in the neighborhood, there was a lot of fear of you becoming president. Because they know we become president, the entire region changed. And also I say, although the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, he had a progressive foreign policy. He made there was a peace in Ethiopia. He made sure our army progressive has entered in Congo. And also he also opened some embassies that imperialists don't like Palestine. So these people had a grudges against us. And we must be honest and tell them. I was saying the German country, they have said you can't use BVR as machine, the Supreme Court. You can't use machine for people to vote. they have told us about manipulation. So what we are saying is that we must not relent. We must not relent on this resistance. And really we appreciate also, na karibu sana Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, and we are so humble. And we are very happy for you giving us this opportunity to share with you our view. So what we are saying is that our demands are here. Now our demand is demand for People's March to State House. It might be protracted struggle, and we are requesting, as we continue with struggle, in Sabasaba of this year, which Baba it will be that 1 year since you entered Kamkunji ground, the Sabasaba of this year, we form a people's government. This fellow, they have gone to the money market, as somebody was speaking yesterday. They went to the money market. They were looking only 200 billion. Our Kambia sisi wetu wa kopesha. So there is no government here. So Baba, don't allow the people who are telling you, tell them I can't leave my people in the wilderness. Azimio letu la kufika Kana, Azimio tufike. Kama tutatembea mguu hadi State House, pale tutaunda serikali ya Wakenya, kila mtu apate maji, afya, elimu, tufike hapo. Na for electoral justice, the parliamentary, we also agree, as it happened before, here in Ufungamano, and many years, and religious people have spoken, and some were saying that, who say that the only parliament knows the solution of this country. So we demand, and I have seen Boni Kalwale saying, asking you ati, sasa kama mlikuwa mnatuita simu, hold muache hizo meetings za town hall, why are they fearing? So you need to tell Boni Kalwale, and Sheikh Ngao amekuwa hapa na Boni. Mwambie, you should not forget where he has come from. Tumemkampenia huko akiwa ordinary person, daktari wa kawaida. Tumefanya protest na kila mara. So asahau kule ametoka. Now our young people, I'm telling you, let's read Baba's books, history, and where we are coming from. Because the problem we are having is that we don't go and read Baba's books and no. Just at Kubare Jaramogi Odinga, it was a great struggle. The state had refused them. It had refused them. Ata kiwanja Uhuru Pakamba, 1994, they were denied. Just imagine. So Baba, we are so happy, and don't give up. We are behind you, and we will die for you. And those who are thinking that we totally fika Kana, they need to know that even Kana safari for 40 years. So our demands we will give you, and I hope Baba you give Mwanzo area and our people from Central Province. I don't know why, Atujai interact at Kidogo, but very many people from the Luo nation everywhere, we have been with them. Although Mwanzo area, I saw you coming with young people about Mwamenta Kidogo. So I think we should get young people who have been confused by these people who hijack democracy, so that we articulate this issue. And also make sure that the voices like yourself that have been the voice of unifying this country have an opportunity to speak and articulate this vision. And what we can say is that we are together and we build a broad-based front, that can carry a social force that can make sure that even if it means that, because sovereignty of people from our constitution come from the people, the power is delegated. We can withdraw that power and make sure we form a government of the people. But don't do it our country to self-destruct. That's our humble submission. And social justice movement is shaping up, and we are following your footsteps. And after reaching Canaan, for sure I promise you, after reaching Canaan with Baba, for sure, you know, the history will be on our side. Viva Baba, viva!
Viva!
Long live Baba, long live!
Long live!
Forward with Azimio, forward!
Forward!
Forward with electoral justice, forward!
Forward!
Forward with State House, march forward!
Forward!
Thank you very much, and I hope we'll continue this round. Asante sana.
Well, you play a very key role to make sure that we have that constitution. So we as young people, we call upon the implementation of Article 43 of the Kenyan Constitution. Kwa sababu hiyo Article 43 ndio inatupea right to food. Na sisi ukweli wa Kenya wa mashinani tuko njaa. I come from Mukuru kwa Jenga where the last demo, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Minocha. I come from Mukuru kwa Jenga where the last demonstration took place. Now ukweli, you can tell from the crowd of people that ukweli watu wako njaa. So demonstrations were, of course, very helpful. Na tuko pia na haki ya kudemonstrate in our Kenyan constitution. Tukidemonstrate every time we are the people who are getting killed huku hivi kwa mtaani. So we say no to this police brutality kwa sababu tuko na haki kwa constitution, tuko na haki, tunajua tunafaa tukue na chakula, tuko na haki, tunajua tunafaa tukue na employment. Me, I live very near in industrial area, and I can tell you 80% of the youths in Mukuru kwa Jenga are unemployed. So this kind of idleness cause drugs, and this kind of drugs inaenda kwa crime. Na tukiona kwa crime, these people now start shooting us, which is of course I do not advocate for crime in any way, but what is the root cause of all these that are happening huku hivi mashinani? It is the kind of poverty that is improvised by the state to cause this kind of poverty. So we want to say that what Azimio is doing is very great in terms of calling upon these people to be accountable. Na hizi vitu zenye walifanya campaigns nazo wakituambia watatupea na hawakutupatia. We as young people are dying huku mtaani. We as young people, manze, watu wa young huku mtaani wanateseka na wanateseka vibaya sana. If you go to these slums, you will see the kind of idleness and ina happen huku mtaani kila siku. Watu hawana employment, watu hawana vitu za kufanya. So we want to say that the government has to implement these things because sisi tumechoka ukweli, and we will march to that state house and take power because we are tired as young people and we have to take power. And just as I finish, I want to say that tuungane mkono pamoja, tuunge watu wa mashinani pia mkono kwa sababu isikuwa tu ni demonstration peke yake ndio tunaungana mkono peke yake. Tukicall upon hizi dialogues zenye tuna address issues za police brutality, issues za extrajudicial killings, can you be with us and can you hold our hand? And just to finish with, as a woman, I want to say pia wamama wa mashinani wamechoka because every time that our kids are getting killed, it comes back to us kama wamama. When our kids wanaenda kwa drugs, it comes back to us kama wamama. When it is crime, it comes back kama wamama. So sisi wamama pia tumechoka. Na ukweli wamama wa hii country tukiamua kuungana na mayouth, tutaingia kwa hiyo state house and we will take power because we are tired. We are very tired. Viva Congress, viva! More power to the people, more power.
Baba Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua na comrades ambao wamefika hapa. Kwa majina ni Calvin Sokot, bunge president ama ghetto president Kenya mzima. Kwa niaba ya wanabunge, wanabunge wanasema na wanauliza ya kwamba hata kama negotiation inaendelea, sisi kama wanabunge na wanageto wanaambia baba Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua na Kinoparanya ya kwamba hiyo mazungumzo ikiendelea, lakini sisi tunataka tuendelee na maandamano kwa sababu tu bado hatuna chakula. Mambo yingine ambayo wanabunge na wanageto wanazidi kuuliza ya kwamba sisi kama wanabunge tulianza hii safari na timu ya Ruto walibehave kama Farao ambayo alisema Mungu akimwambia waachilia hao watu wa Israeli waende Canaan, wacha hao watu wa Azimio wapeleke Raila State House. Alisema tukianza kama wanabunge walituita chura, sema hiyo ni sauti ya chura, hakuna mali naenda. Tukafanya maandamano ya kwanza akatudharau, mara ya pili akatudharau. Tukauliza kama wanabunge, tukaitisha Raila Odinga, Martha Karua na Kalonzo Musyoka na Kinoparanya watu join, wakatujoin kweli, wakajua sasa sio chura. Na sisi tunasema kama wanabunge, baba juzi committee imewekwa, lakini sisi kama wanabunge na wanageto hii serikali hawasikii dialogue. Hii serikali inataka ujinga. Na sisi na mimi kama ghetto president baba, comrade power, wanabunge power. Baba, vijana na wanabunge na wanageto wanasema ya kwamba hii serikali si serikali inataka amani. Hii serikali inasikisa ujinga. Tunataka tuapply ujinga kwao. Na mimi bado baba, hatuwezi pinga nyinyi na Martha Karua na Kalonzo Musyoka na kina Paranya. Lakini baba, saa zingine mkitengeneza komiti, mnawacha watu wa sheng kama sisi pia tunakaa kwa hiyo komiti. Ndio tukurugane na kina Kimani Chungwa. Naweza kosa kisungu nyingi, lakini niko na ujinga mingi ambayo inaweza saidia wanageto. So baba, tungepinga hiyo komiti ambayo uliweka, lakini watu wengi hawangetaka hiyo komiti. In fact, tulikuwa nataka negotiation ikienda uwaambie ya kwamba inaenda jioni. Sisi tunaandamana kutoka asubuhi mpaka saa 11, then munaenda negotiation jioni. Mpaka siku wewe mwenyewe unakuja kwa TV na Kalonzo Musyoka ya kwamba wamekubali ile vitu tulikuwa nataka, ndio tunaacha maandamano. Lakini kama bado, lazima tuendelee na maandamano mpaka tupate haki yetu. Baba, mambo ingine nikimalizia. Baba, vijana wa hii country wamechoka. Na vijana wa hii nchi wanatamani hata hii Kenya ichomeke yote, kila mtu abomwe na tuanze kujenga kama si wote tuko hapa. Kwa sababu ya kitu moja baba. Vile ule msichana anasema natoka Mukuru, mimi pia nimetoka Mukuru, lakini nimelelewa nikitoka Korokocho, Kaloleni, then nikakuja Mukuru Kayaba. Na mimi usiku watu ulizanga security yangu iko wapi? Mimi najua security yangu ni Mwenyezi Mungu, vile wewe pia security yako Raila Odinga ni ya Mwenyezi Mungu na wananchi. Baba, hii constitution mkirudi kwa referendum, tunataka mtuweke hapo, kwa sababu iko sheria zingine iliwekwa hapa ya kufeva watu wengine na inaumiza vijana wa kijiji. Mtu anaiba 2 bilioni, inasemekana uchunguzi ifanywe. Mtu anaiba mayai ya Ruto, anawekwa ndani na anafungwa maisha. Hakuna haki hapo kwa hiyo constitution. Then kwa hii constitution bado iko mali unapata gap ya wale wako na suti na wale hawana suti. Polisi ikuta kwa njia akipata umevaa longi imeruka hivi na wengine wameiba, umewekwa pingo na umewekelewa kesi. Baba, hii constitution lazima tutembele. Lakini ya mwisho, mimi nashukuru nyinyi kwa kurecognize bunge la wananchi na kurecognize wanageto. Ni ile tu kwa hiyo committee ndio tulikuwa na shida. But baba, tuko ready kuendelea na maandamano mpaka wale wanakufa. Hata wewe wakati uliwekwa ndani kwa sababu hii freedom ambayo tumepata leo. Wengine walikufa, wengine walipata wakina Matiba walikufa kama ni mazuzu wasijua kitu endelea. Baba, vijana wamekubali, wacha wale wanakufa wakufe, waache kutuambia eti kwa nini Raila anataka tu damu. Raila hataki damu, wananchi ndio wanataka damu ili tupate haki. Ni kweli si kweli? So baba, mazungumzo ya leo on Sunday tumesikia tuko Kamkunji. Tunajua agenda ambayo iko ni ya kwamba kuanzia Monday, lakini najua wewe unaheshimu kila dini. Najua baba, wewe ni mjanja, wewe ni mjela, wewe ni mkora, hutaki vitu vingine kuonyesha. Umepea Waislamu haki yao, ndio maana umepostpone hii maandamano. Najua Waislamu wakimaliza tu kufungua hivi, tunaanza maandamano kutoka Monday to Sunday. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki. Nikimalizia na salamia Bakolode ambayo tulikuwa nayo ndani na ndugu yangu Kano. Sisi tulikuwa na jiita G3. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki.
Pia jinsi tunavyoendelea na hizi harakati zetu, na tunafahamu vizuri mambo yalivyoenda mpaka pale tumefika. Tunatafuta way forward, lakini katika hii way forward pia tukiangalia kwa makini, sisi tunapigana tukijua target ni nini, na tunatafuta mbinu. Ima mbinu iko na tunajua viongozi wetu wanajua end game ni nini. Kwa hivyo wengine wetu viongozi mashinani, tunafuata viongozi wetu tukijua kwa kwamba wanatuelekeza katika mstari iliyo sawa. Lakini sisi mashinani pia tukiwa kule tunaangalia zile ambazo zinaendelea katika nyanja za juu, lazima tufanye observation na tuangalie na tukosoe upungufu ile tuko nayo na tuzirekebishe. Sehemu ambayo kuna upungufu na sisi tutoe maoni ni vipi zitaimarishwa. La kwanza, toka tumalize uchaguzi tunajua koti ilivyotufanyia ubakaji na tukakubali. Lakini nafasi ilipopeanwa kwa wale viongozi ambao sasa wako mamlakani kuendesha nchi, ni dhahiri kuwa kwamba hii shughuli hawakujiandaa vizuri, na mpaka leo kwa kweli ukiangalia mazungumzo ya viongozi inaonyesha kuwa kwamba hawakujiandaa, ama ujuzi na mbinu ujanja kuendesha taifa hamna. Kwa hivyo nafasi ipo bado ya kurekebisha mambo. Lakini je, sisi kama option ambayo itakuwa ni fallback ya mwananchi, uongozi wetu kidogo upungufu iko wapi na itarekebishwa vipi? Mimi kwa mtazamo wangu nikijaribu kuangalia jinsi tunavyopigana vita kule hewani, hapa namaanisha kupitia vyombo vya habari, magazetini, redioni na hata kwenye televisheni, kwa kweli kikosi chetu ina upungufu ya watu wa kurusha marasharasha. Kwa mfano, kwa kipindi cha siku 2-3 makamu wa rais amekuwa akitushambulia sana na anashambulia viongozi wetu wakuu. Imefika kiwango cha makamu wa rais anauliza taifa ama anaeleza taifa, yeye anazungumza kama makamu wa rais ambaye alichaguliwa, lakini hana muda ya kuzungumza na Raila Amolo Odinga, mpaka anatuuliza Raila Amolo Odinga ni nani, yeye anazungumza kama nani. Tumefika hapo. Je, ukijaribu kuangalia tajriba ya makamu wa rais na mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, His Excellency, hapo kuna comparison kweli? Hakuna nafasi kama hiyo. Je, kwa nini ichukue kipindi cha wiki mzima? Mheshimiwa rais amekosewa heshima hapo. Sisi wanarasharasha wetu, nikisema wanarasharasha wetu namaanisha foot soldiers wetu wa kumachi Gachagua wako wapi? Viongozi wetu wako wapi wa kubishana na Gachagua? Kwa sababu kiwango cha Martha Karua na mheshimiwa Raila Odinga si kiwango cha Gachagua, na wakati mzee ataenda kurespond kwa Gachagua inamaanisha tumeshusha hadhi ya mzee. So tunauliza, na mimi siko hapa kukosea watu heshima, isipokuwa kwa observation yangu ni kuwa our communication sector ama communication system iko na upungufu, na inatakiwa ikiwa leo Gachagua ama Ichung'wa atasimama aongee na aongee ujinga na upuzi alivyoongea, jua lisitue kabla tutapata mtu wa kumjibu moja kwa moja. Hii ni observation ya kwanza. Kwa hivyo nikimalizia nukta hilo, ningetaka kuomba communication team ya Azimio, tafadhalini marisheni kikosi chenu. Na mimi nachukua fursa hii mama na kuuliza moja kwa moja, ningeomba nafasi katika hiyo sekta. Mimi ndiwepo, matches tuko na the best team, lakini there is always a chance for improvement. Na tusidharauliane hapa, msione kama amekosewa heshima, isipokuwa kuna nafasi na kuna haja ya kuimarisha hicho kikosi, ndio kusudi. Tukirishiwa kombora ni sisi turusha kombora. Tusirishiwe kombora inafika wiki mzima kama hiyo agenda ambayo tulirushiwa na ni uongo mtupu, sisi hatuja respond, inakuwa ni ukweli. Na sisi tunajua vizuri wale mabwana ni wazuri sana kwa kuweka propaganda. La mwisho, nilisema nitakuwa kwa mfupi kwa kusema, tafadhali, tunajua vizuri vuguvugu ambayo inaendelea kwa saizi ama harakati ambayo inaendelea kwa saizi, tunajua inaweza fika kiwango ya kuwa kwamba utarudi uchaguzi ama sisi tupewe serikali, lakini ndio tufikie hapo. Je, tutakuwa tumemwandaa mwananchi kwa njia gani? Mwananchi ataandaliwa kwa njia gani? Kwa sababu kumbuka, wenye tunapinzana nao ni watu wajanja sana na ni wakora sana kwa propaganda na maandalizi ya mashinani. Tunapozungumza saizi chama cha Kenya kwisha tayari wako na mikakati kupitia hii kofa zao ambao wanaita ni hustler funds. Nimekuambia mimi ni kiongozi mashinani, na kwenye sehemu mimi naongoza leo, kuna watu wao, maagents wao wanakuja kutoka sehemu yangu ya soko, na wanakuja na agenda moja. Kunayo mbinu ambayo imeshazinduliwa upya ambayo inakuja kuhamasisha watu mashinani, kwa sababu kuna fedha katika hiyo corpus ya hustler fund, lakini sasa ina target vikundi ambazo ziko tayari, ziko registered, na tunajua vizuri vile vikundi ziko registered mashinani ama mtaani ziko kwa wingi sana. Sasa lengo lao ni kwenda kumarisha zile vikundi, zinapewa nafasi na zinaelezewa kila kikundi ifanye recruitment ya watu japo 50. Kisha kuna mapeni ambao watapewa moja kwa moja, wanaform kama sako hivi. Kisha wanapewa pesa pale ya wao kukopeshana wao kwa wao. Tayari hii ni mbinu janja ya kuingia na kukita mashinani, ambapo saa zile filimbi kitapulizwa tu hivi kwamba labda kuna uchaguzi na kuja, tayari wao watakuwa kuna maagents wao ambao kidogo ama kwa njia moja au nyingine wameimarishwa kikamilifu na wako tayari kuingia. Kwa hivyo langu ni hilo tu, na ningeomba tu nafasi ichukuliwe na viongozi watilie manani sana vipi tuna respond tunaporushiwa macheche.
From the academy, we are supporting social justice. And we have one motto, that education liberates. We don't support injustice. So whenever you find a movement that fights for social justice, know that Wasonga is there. We have been given the data here. I don't want to agree with the data. I don't want to dispute the data, because you know I represent all the landed people here. Analysis of data falls under the domain of my members. I'm going to subject this data, interrogate it, then we'll give our position. So that I give a position from an informed position. And you know, once we get that this thing is right, we give our position whether you like it or not. Since independence, it is the first time that the government cannot pay its workers. And people think that it is a normal exercise. We are being told to tighten our belts. I want to say that as University Academic Staff Union, we shall not tighten our belts, because we pay taxes and we are not going to beg to be paid. We are going to demand to be paid. So whoever is thinking that they can tell academic staff to tighten their belts, we are not there. Today is 13th. Our members worked, and we don't know whether we are going to be paid or not. You know, initially, the middle class thought that the cost of living was just high for the poor. Now they are born to the middle class. So it is upon the middle class to stand up and speak, because we are heading in the wrong direction. Whoever imagined that a government can say that they cannot pay their workers, a government is sending workers to tighten their belts, and unionists are not talking, don't count me there, I'm not there. I am with the people. And once we will stand with the people, and we will not tighten our belts. A government that cannot pay our workers has no business being on the throne. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, viongozi wote wa Azimio. Mimi naitwa Anthony Manyara, the President Kenya University Students Organization, also doubling as the President of East African Students Union. Nimekuja hapa leo kuwakilisha wanafunzi wote wa all the universities in this country. Now, before I even make a few comments, let me recognize the student leaders with us here today, starting with my able deputy, Rachel Tabitha. Where are you? You just wave from wherever you are. If you are an elected student leader, tafadhali just wave from wherever you are. As you can see, Your Excellency, tuko na viongozi wote wa conference hapa. Mimi nitaongea mambo machache sana. First of all, let me begin by saying that if this government is to blame for very many problems that students are facing today, Jambo la kwanza ukiangalia mambo ya health. Last week but one we had Kabianga University demonstrating. We had very many universities that have demonstrated sababu ya mambo ya health. Mimi baba nataka kukuomba saa hii ututengea hata kama ni Friday tuendelee na maandamano yetu as university students mpaka tuhakikishe ya kwamba hiyo pesa imeachiliwa. We are not begging for our salaries. We are not begging for help. Help is a right for every student. I would like to summarize this by saying that you cannot pickpocket a naked man. Reason as to why we are saying this is because wanafunzi pale chuo kikuu wanakaanga panya, wanawinda ndege. These are students who are sleeping hungry. The government doesn't understand that wanafunzi wanainama. We are coming to a situation whereby students are killing themselves, students are committing suicide sababu hakuna chakula pale shule. Number two, I would like to tell this government that you have come with very many unsustainable policies. One of them is CBC. CBC is completely unsustainable. Why you come up with a program that you cannot be able to sustain it? Number three, Baba, we have the movement for the defense of democracy. Students have been in opposition since 1963. Saa hii tunataka kuomba hiyo bipartisan talks ambayo inafanyika, let youth leaders be part and parcel. Hata fadhali subcommittee itengenezwe kidogo hapo chini so that young people can feel part and parcel of that process. Nikimalizia baba, nataka kusema ya kwamba movement for the defense of democracy, kuna wale watu walikuwa wameanza kuteti jina wakisema ati hawa watu sijui wamevaa berets, sijui wamevaa jeshi. Hawa ni vijana ambao wako at the forefront of fighting for the rights of many Kenyans who are the oppressed, who are the hoi polloi, who are the people down there. Hao ndio real hustlers. Hawa watu ambao wanapiganiwa na hao vijana, they are the real hustlers. Na mimi ningetaka kusema baba, we thank you so much because you're the only person who has been withstanding injustice for a very long time. Ukiona university students are on your side, it is because we are fighting for the right thing. Sisi tunataka kusimama kwa haki na ukweli. Mimi mwenyewe nikiwa Manyara nilisema ya kwamba hakuna wakati nitapeleka wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu kwa njia ambayo haifai. Sisi tumekandamizwa for a very long time. Since time immemorial, this is the very first time that the government is neglecting university students. Wanafunzi hapa shule, they cannot survive. Jana nimeongea na CEO wa HELB anaitwa Rigera. Ananiambia tafadhali ongea na CS Treasury. Nikijaribu kuongea na yeye ashike simu. Kuachilia pesa 5.7 billion peke yake, is it a problem really to the government? Is it a problem? Ukiangalia the expenditure which is being used by State House, they're using billions on very extravagant issues. Wanaenda wananunua magari kubwa. Hiyo pesa inafaa kuachiliwa iende ipea hao wanafunzi waweze kuendelea na masomo yao. Finally, wacha nimalizie nikisema ya kwamba this government does not understand dialogue. This government does not understand dialogue, baba. Sisi tunataka kuomba tu turudishwe pale kwa street tena. Tafadhali declare, baba, declare. Kama venye my brother Gaucho amesema hapo, we are very ready. Mimi I mobilize my troops. Gaucho mobilize bunge lake. Watu wengi hapa, tuko na hata wandai hapa mobilize pale wa bunge. Sisi wote tupatane place moja. We do a real march to State House. Ama namna gani? Nikimalizia baba, wacha nikushukuru sana sababu umesimama na wanafunzi for a very long time. We are very loyal. Tumesema ya kwamba njia tuko na wewe mpaka mwisho. Kama ni dialogue, hiyo side nyingine yetu ya dialogue, sisi tutasimama na wewe. Tumerealize ya kwamba wabunge wao wanasema wamepeana people who look like jokers kwa hiyo party yao ya bipartisan. We are telling Dr. Ruto, tafadhali review your team. Let us serious faces. Hata kusema ati tuende tukaongee na Kimani Gichungwa. Who is Kimani Gichungwa? Who is Kimani Gichungwa? We are supposed to reject those bipartisan talks until they bring serious faces on that team. Thank you so much.
Viva na baba! Viva na baba! Viva na baba! Oh, viva, viva, viva na baba! Kwa majina mmesikia mimi ni Ruth Mombi, mwanaharakati mtetezi wa haki za kibinadamu, na mimi hapa leo niko na jambo tu mbili la kusema. Nilikuwa katika harakati ya kupigania na make sure ya kwamba katiba ambayo sisi wa Kenya tulijipatia imepigiwa kura na tumeipitisha. Nili coordinate warembo ni yes, and I'm glad that Mother Karua is here today, because we went round kuambia wanawake na wasichana ya kwamba hii katiba ni yetu na lazima tujipatie. So mimi hapa nataka kuongea kuhusu Article 1 of the Constitution. Nikumbushe the current regime ya kwamba hii si privilege wanatupatia, and right to protest can never be a privilege of the state. Ni haki yetu kulingana na katiba yetu ya Kenya, Article 1 of the Constitution, ambayo inasema we can exercise our power as people either directly or indirectly. And we are here today as the Kenyan people to exercise that power directly. Na hatutaomba ruhusa, na hatuombi ruhusa. Na hii serikali ambayo inajiita sijui serikali ya hasla. Nilifikiria wale wakiongea mbele yangu, and especially the religious leader, hii message inaenda kwenye. Katika Biblia inatukumbusha ya kwamba Wanaisraeli walizunguka the walls of Jericho siku 7. Muliona tear gas? Hawakupigwa na tear gas. Na kama nyinyi mnajitai ya kwamba nyinyi ni serikali teule na Mwenyezi Mungu, mbona mnatuchapa na tear gas? So sisi kama Wakristo wa Kenya, wanadini, we are going to protest, we are going to exercise our power, and it is not a privilege that you people, and especially Ali Iba bin Kura, hatuombi wewe ruhusa. Tumeona vile mliiba kura. Baba alikuita Zakayo, lakini mimi leo nakuita Ali Iba bin Ushuru. Ushuru hatulipi, sababu ya nini? Kama tunalipa ushuru na mnaendelea kuchukua hiyo ushuru yetu kujinunulia magari mkiwa na huo maumau mbonoko, sisi kama maumau, the real hustler, the mother of the nation, we are going to take back that power na tuseme ya kwamba enough is enough. So Baba, we are here with you as the grassroots, as the women. Now, dialogues zinapoendelea nationally, we as the grassroots women, we as activists, we as young women of Kenya, tutakuwa tukiziendeleza kule mashinani. Mkiongea hapa juu na sisi tunaongea hapa chini. Mnachukua sauti yetu, mnasema wananchi wa Kenya wamesema hivi. So, because if we don't claim back this country, it's going to the dogs. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate watu ambao hawabelieve in the rule of law ndio wanatuongoza. Baba, tunakuuliza tafadhali tupatie list ya friends wetu wale international na maadui zetu. Kwa sababu katika kazi yangu ya wanaharakati tumesimama sana na Venezuela. We have shown solidarity with the Venezuelan people. But wakati Camargo alituibia ushindi wetu, it's really unfortunate that even the Venezuela government haijaongea jambo. So sisi tutakuwa tunawapa solidarity kwa wale wanatupatia solidarity. So kwa hayo machache na mengi nasema ni asanti, na lazima tushikane mkono
na tupatiane nguvu ya kureclaim na kuexpand the shrinking space ambayo inaendelea kushrink katika hii nchi yetu ya Kenya. Nikirudia hapo kwa nini kwa right to protest, ni aibu kubwa sana. Wakati ya maandamano tuliona Kibera, mtoto aliuawa na polisi na tear gas. Tukaona Kisumu, kijana student Maseno University alipigwa risasi. Juzi kumekuwa na maandamano Tharaka-Nithi. The illegitimate government imeona ni muhimu kutoa statement kuhusu Tharaka-Nithi. But I'm here to remind them, every life matters, and you're not going to tell us when to protest, how to protest, and where to protest. It's enshrined in our constitution, and we will exercise that to the fullest. Viva Kenya, viva!
Who others would wish to retire maybe in the sector is Suba Churchill, but I refuse to retire. The Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, Your Excellencies, present and former governors present, and other dignitaries, it is my pleasure to speak on behalf of a sector that I've served for a number of years, and to show solidarity with some of the sentiments that have been expressed here. I've had the privilege to be part of the team that worked on the Constitution of Kenya, sitting as delegate number 463 at the Bomas Constitutional Conference in 2003 and 2004, and not only sat as a delegate, but co-chaired the Technical Committee on Citizenship and the Bill of Rights. And so my submissions here today are going to be based on the provisions of the Constitution. One of the provisions of a Constitution under Article 38(2) is that every citizen has a right to free, fair, and regular elections based on universal suffrage. And that is provided under the Bill of Rights. Article 35 of the same Constitution tells us that every person has a right to access information held by the state, and also when that information is required to protect a right or fundamental freedom. What am I trying to say? That those who have made it look as if asking for the opening of the server is like extracting somebody's tooth without the benefit of anesthetics should know that accessing information held by the server is a fundamental right protected under Article 35 of the Constitution. And so, irrespective of how the Supreme Court rules, Article 35 of the Constitution remains operational, and any Kenyan at any point in time has a right to demand access to information held by the state-owned agencies, including the IEBC, to certify themselves that indeed their right to free and fair elections, as provided for under Article 38, was protected, and that the results that the IEBC announced were as they ought to be. I know there are friends who have told us that the 2022 elections were the freest, the fairest. But as one who has observed elections for the African Union in 28 African countries so far, I will tell you that there cannot be free and fair elections if the vote before it is cast is different from the vote after it is cast. The figures that you have been treated to here indicate that the votes before they were cast multiplied for some candidates after they were cast. And therefore,
The results as announced by the IEBC on the presidential vote do not meet the requirements of Article 86 of the Constitution that requires that no matter what method is used in conducting the vote, they must be verifiable, they must be accurate, and all this seems to be missing in this process. Every time this discussion crops up with my colleagues in the sector, I ask them one simple question. Kwamba juzi tuliona watu wakienda kwa shamba la mwingine wakaiba kondoo. Ikiwa huyo mtu ambaye alibiwa kondoo anashuku watu fulani na aseme juzi nimepoteza kondoo kadhaa, mamia ya kondoo, na nashuku kwamba kuna moja iko kwa hii nyumba, the solution is simple. Open the door, let the owners of the kondoo certify themselves that indeed you are not holding any of the lost. That is the stand of the civil society. That there can be no reconciliation without justice. And there can be no justice without truth. That truth can only be ascertained not by my friend Wasonga going to subject this data, but by the holders of the information, making that information available, because we'll end up confusing the masses. Because your lecturers will come up with their own figures, other people will also come with their own. Let those who are holding the information make it available pursuant to Article 35 of the Constitution. That is the stand of the civil society. We have been told in Article 88 of the Constitution that the IEBC is one of the constitutional commissions. As one who participated in writing this Constitution, I've looked at the provisions relating to the functions of the IEBC. And I think, and I want to suggest, that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is too important a commission to be established just like all the other constitutional commissions. As an election observer, I know for a fact that there are 3 types of commissions. Ours falls under the constitutional commissions. Then there is the mixed model and the government model. It is my submission that what is in contention in this matter is not the panel. It is the formula being used to establish the commission. And I want to urge us to admit that our country and our state of democratic development is still too backward to let the president and incumbent president run the show by presiding over the appointment of everybody else who contributes people into the panel that sets up the commission. I want to remind us that in 2002, the only reason we had free and fair and credible elections that met the frameworks as set out in Article 86 is when we had different actors, critical stakeholders, saying this will be our representative in the commission. So what we are calling for as a civil society is a review of the method of setting up the IEBC. And we are saying that whatever is in this constitution is not cast on stone. That it is not about the panel, it is about relooking at Article 88 of the Constitution and saying this formula is wrong. And Dr. Wasonga will agree with me that as our mathematics teachers used to say, when you get the formula wrong, the answer can never be right. We will never get it right until we get the formula of establishing, not reconstituting, establishing the commission. Because the commission is the one that registers citizens as voters. It's the one that delimits boundaries of constituencies and wards. It's the one that updates the voters' roll. It's the one that oversees the resolution of disputes of nominations. It's the same one that presides over referenda and elections. We are saying this commission must be treated differently. And we have examples in that same constitution. The manner in which, for example, the Revenue Allocation Commission is established, where there is consultation,
where people, stakeholders have representatives, is perhaps some of the formula we need to borrow and bring into the establishment of the IEBC. Lastly, as a representative of the sector, I would be failing in my responsibility if I don't raise this. Way back in 2013, a new law was passed, the Public Benefit Organizations Act, that was supposed to repeal the NGO Coordination Act and establish an enabling environment for the civil society to thrive and make their contribution in a socio-economic development. That law that was passed by Parliament in 2012, assented to by former President Mwai Kibaki on 13 February 2013, is yet to become operational because successive regimes have refused to operationalize it. We are seeing on the other side people who called us names, said we are evil society. I'm not surprised that day in, day out, they celebrate the contributions made by Kenyans in the diaspora, but never mention the significant contribution that this sector makes to the economy, creating jobs and ensuring that those who are underprivileged, those who are underserved, get some of the services that government cannot provide. Lastly, I agree with those who are saying that hata kama kuna majadiliano inaendelea kwa kikao fulani, moto pia lazima iwe inawaka nje. That's how it works. That's how it works. Without pressure. And some of the things they don't admit, you know, when people are complaining about salary, what they are not admitting is that 2 weeks of mass action, they cost them the money they would have used to pay. They will not tell you that. But these are the realities. We need to cost them another 2 weeks so that those civil servants can join us in the demonstration. This is how revolutions happen. Revolutions don't happen when everybody is paid on time. We like it. We like it. Some of us in the activist side of the world like it when everybody is not comfortable. So Baba, another 2 rounds of Mandamano. And all civil servants who are not yet paid will join you in the struggle for change. One thing people are close to you may not tell you, and which people say outside, is that you don't seem to have the ruthlessness that is required in this struggle. That, you know, my grandfather was a well-known partaker of traditional brew, Busa. But you would not entertain a fly around his calabash. You are still entertaining people who have defected. People who have crossed over. People who have betrayed the struggle. By now, there should have been a by-election ongoing in Kisumu for the Senate. By now, we should be having a by-election in Langata. People are saying we don't have the ruthlessness. This struggle requires some level of ruthlessness. And it is not that there is no shortage of people who can lead in those constituencies. Bondo constituencies are sure bad. What are we waiting with that? Baba, you need some level of ruthlessness in this struggle. Because if people are aiming to kill you, why not kill them first? That is what the struggle is about. I'm glad to see my colleagues, Kenya University Students Organization. I want to tell you, I'm the founder, chairman of the Kenya University Students Organization. And then we were founding it in 1995. Some of us were expelled. Then we became clever. We say, if you are thrown out through the door, find a way of coming back through the window. So when we went to the Register of Societies, we said, you in particular, we know you are notorious, you have been expelled, you are not a student. We went and registered in a driving school and came back and said, now you see, we are students in a driving school. Those are some of the creativity that we need. As I said it,
student leader of the university, but even more importantly,
wale viongozi wa rende la Azimio ambao wako hapa, viongozi wetu ambao pia ni viongozi wa vyama vya kisiasa. Ninaona hapa wamejaa, wamefurika furifuri. Viongozi wetu ambao wamechaguliwa kutoka katika bunge zetu za juu na pia za gatuzi. Namwona spika wetu wa Nairobi, Wanang'ondi, pia ako hapa. Viongozi wa sekta mbalimbali, wa Kenya wenzangu, mabibi na mabwana, hamujambo? Bwana Yesu Kristo asifiwe. Salamu alaikum. So I want to begin by really appreciating the organizers of this session, who considered it wise and very thoughtful to have conversations from Kenyans around the ongoings in their country. When we received this phone call that came to us yesterday evening, we were very glad, because this really is an exercise of Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya that gives sovereign power to the people. In addition to that, we have very many legislative proposals that support public participation. So we have come here in very big and huge numbers to participate. And if a similar call comes from Kenya Kwanza, we will as well attend and make our voice to count. I am speaking on behalf of an organization called County Governance Watch, whose sole purpose is to watch over devolved governments of Kenya, really by presenting proposals and recommendations that strengthen and enhance devolution in the counties. In addition to this, we engage a lot in issues around leadership and governance. And so elections, peace and security really form the core of the work that we do. And so in the midst, we have organizations that are from, let me say, across the country, because beyond County Governance Watch, we engage with a network called the Peace Actors Forum that is represented by Madam Leah Kimathi. I think she's seated somewhere there. And also stakeholders from Mathare, Kibra, and other informal settlements that we engage with. They have sent me here with a 4-page document that I am not going to read, but I want to summarize it in brief. The first issue is, of course, taking note of the fact that our elections are necessarily standing as a trigger for violence, crisis, and dilemma. And this is happening because, as a country, we have failed to really look at the far greater challenges that the country is facing. And so if you look at very many platforms that have been presented to us, very many conversations that have taken place in this country, there are lots of unfinished businesses. And that is why, even as we stand in this very non-partisan platform, we want to appreciate Baba. Because I keep telling people that if Baba told us that kulikuwa na mamluki pahali, na kuna watu walikataa, na akasema nimewaona wameingia na mlango huu, na msipowazuia na kuwaziba watatoka na mlango hii ingine. After a few weeks, what happened? The faces of the Mamlukis tulionyeshwa, waliangazwa. If Baba says that there is an issue with this server, if Baba says that there is an issue with this server, si basi tutaweka server pia wawe mamluki. Na baadaye kutakuwa na sehemu na pahali ambapo ukweli wa huo server utajulikana. And so we take note of processes such as the Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation processes of 2008 that raised issues. 4 among those issues: constitutional and legal institutional reforms, land reforms, tackling poverty and inequality, tackling unemployment, especially among young people, and of course cross-cutting issues such as consolidating national cohesion and unity, while addressing transparency, accountability, and impunity. As a network and an agency, we are convinced that the political process that we currently have, especially bordering on largely the reasons why we are here, focus on humiliating competitors, critics, and those who do not agree with the views, rather than building consensus and strategies for solving our country's issues. So we take note of progressive processes that have taken place to try and deal with some of those concerns, but we are also convinced that the people, the economy, eradication of suffering and promoting dignity are not a prism of politics and therefore of government. Progressive voices have to be given their place at those particular tables. And that is why, beyond the Agenda 4 issues, the three concerns that are raised are concerns that are bedeviling Kenyans today. Consequently, and despite being detailed in past review processes, including the Kenya and NEPAD APRM process reports, the Justice Waki and Krigler commissions, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission reports, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission TJRC report, that of course led to the 2007-2008 Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation process, the Vision 2030 document itself, and much more closely, we take note of progress and regress that were made in the 2017 Joint Parliamentary Select Committee. And one agenda that not so many of us have talked about here today is the Building Bridges to Unity process that was quashed by our courts. These, ladies and gentlemen, are opportunities that give us the privilege, therefore, to make progressive steps that give us platforms to be able to exercise progressive aspects that therefore address the conflicts and the challenges that Kenyans are facing. The second broad conceptual challenge that we submit to Azimio today is the increasing feeling of hopelessness among the citizenry due to being disempowered, and indeed the lack of organizing, lack of an objective and consistent voices among the citizen groups. Must it be the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga who will stand between the injustices that Kenyans are facing and the progressive steps that Kenyans require from their governments? The answer is no. And therefore we are hoping that in all these additional processes that are being undertaken, including the latest, which is the bipartisan process, that this degree of helplessness that Kenyans are facing is going to be addressed, and that it is neither the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and his fellow leaders and the government, but that Kenyans will begin to have the conscious thinking and understanding that we have a responsibility that has been given to us by our constitution to exercise certain sovereignty. Therefore, in finishing, what are our 6 proposals to Azimio and to the bipartisan committee? Number 1, we are proposing that we need to restructure the executive to dignify and institutionalize the opposition to perform its oversight role effectively within a presidential system. Now, this memorandum explains the pros and cons of a presidential system, the benefits that Kenya has been able to accrue between the presidential and even the parliamentary system that we enjoyed its stint a few years ago. The Constitution of Kenya, therefore, provides that elections, as Suba Churchill rightfully said, will be held every 5 years. But it also establishes an election management body, otherwise called the IEBC, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. The mandate and the functions of that commission is to conduct free, fair, transparent and accountable elections for Kenyans. In exercise of that mandate, Kenyans vote for 6 positions that of course interest different contestants. Going by past electoral experiences, we have been told that winning the presidency means getting everything and losing everything if you lose and fail to become the president. This is happening both at national level, regional levels, county levels, but even at an individual level. When you run for president, like the 4 candidates who ran for office and did not lose it, where do we take you to? What does that mean for us as a people? And therefore we are proposing that we need to begin to have a conversation as candid as is possible to review this structure that therefore will be able to open up certain spaces for us to be able to look at how we can be able to strengthen accountability, transparency, and indeed integrity of various agencies. The second issue that we are raising, devolution. So strengthening devolution, institutional performance, and governance. We have seen, and as a network, we have undertaken an analysis of the promises that were made by both Azimio la Umoja and also Kenya Kwanza on devolution and the benefits that would be that would accrue to Kenyans with this. We are sorry to say that Kenya Kwanza government has failed to live by the dreams of Kenyans and the prospects that have been given to us through the Constitution of Kenya insofar as devolution is concerned. And therefore we are proposing that, one, funds that have been contained by the national government that are supposed to go to county governments be released, and that the bipartisan process that has been proposed begins to have a candid conversation around how we can be able to forestall the challenges that come with the division of revenue allocation. This goes beyond just parliament, but also looking at the various constitutional commissions and also the functions as are detailed in Schedule 4 function of Schedule 4 of our Constitution of Kenya that basically narrates the functions of both national and county governments. Why are we saying this? We say this because we have also noted a trend at which the national government, particularly the Kenya Kwanza government, is stifling devolution, not just because of judiciary mechanisms and concerns, but indeed even regaining and reclaiming functions that are supposed to be done by county governments, and they are currently being both financed and executed and implemented by national government. If we fail to do this, ladies and gentlemen, therefore what will happen? For the first time, as one of my former speakers has said, we are noticing a trend where public servants have not been paid. County governments, various service delivery sectors have actually threatened to go on strike. Are we saying that it is the demonstrations that are going to get us back to the drawing and talking table? The answer is both yes and no. Why? Because we have to exert pressure. So there are people who will exert that pressure. And we also have to have conversations that are progressive and transformational. As I head towards finishing, the third issue is bringing a closure to the 2017 and 2022 general elections and making elections credible, accountable, and acceptable. We are here because we have been given data. What does this data mean to you? And I want to echo the words of Sova Churchill because they are also indicated in this memorandum. Article 35 of the Constitution gives any citizen of the Republic of Kenya the right of access to information held by the state. If we fail to exercise that right and not waiting for Baba Mheshimiwa Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, we want to see as many petitions to institutions of government pushing for opening up of the servers. It doesn't have to be Raila Amolo Odinga. As an individual, you can do a petition. As a network of family members, you can do a petition. And so beyond this meeting, I am requesting us to go out there and seek for petitions, letters, and questions that will ensure that if the server has the answer to what ails Kenya today, let the servers be opened. We have been told that there is no mechanism. There is a mechanism in Article 35. But if we fail to exercise that right, what will we be doing? Let's go back to the voter turnout of 2022 elections. More than 10 million plus people did not vote. Young people, particularly 8.4 million, didn't turn up to vote. If we fail to strengthen reasons as to why Kenyans go to an election, 2027 might not even attract a 34% voter turnout. Why? Because Kenyans will ask the question, what does my vote mean? And so we are also asking that question. What does waking up early in the morning mean to us? What does it mean to our government in office? Let us exercise our sovereign power, ladies and gentlemen, to push for implementation of Article 35 and Article 38 of the Constitution that gives power to people for universal suffrage on elections. Because failure to exercise that power, the young people of the generation that are following up to Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga will not wake up to go and vote. That means that there may be no elections in 2027. Lastly, cost of living. How many of us have 100 shillings in our pockets? Kenyans are crying. We want food, and it is the responsibility of any government that calls itself a caring government to provide mechanisms, stable environments, and opportunities for people of all cadre, whether elders, young people, persons with disability, the youth, women, children, to find food to eat. Children want to go to school. We are asking the government to exercise its power to make cost of living affordable, achievable for the majority of Kenyans. I thank you so much for listening to me on behalf of the people who sent me here. God bless you, God bless Kenya, and God bless Azimio. Asante.
My name's Eliud Opany, and as Malcolm X says, by every means necessary. I operate closely with MDD, but I'm the chairman of the Ordinary People's Movement. And I had to take this chance, and for sure you cannot now stop me. During the French Revolution, one Jean said, when the poor will be left with nothing more to eat, they will come for the rich. As the ordinary, we've come this close, I can assure you. And I want to tell you, with Baba being our general, as the ordinary citizens, this is what the ordinary people are saying. We took notes when we were told negotiations were commencing. Baba, that very week, Dr. Ruto called you my brother. The second week, his deputy, without chills, called you ordinary. Baba, if you're not going to let us go to the streets as you continue with the negotiations, what will they do the third week? I can tell you, Baba, the ordinary people want to be in the streets because that is the only platform we have a chance to enjoy our rights. And I want to remind everybody, and this is biblical, in Galatians 6:9, for those of us who are in struggle and at times get weary, Galatians 6:9 reminds you, don't be weary of doing good, for in the right time and in due time, if you don't give up, you will assuredly get the reward. God bless you very much, and may God take care of you and part together as we go through our struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. Buffalo Soldier. We came to listen to our brothers and sisters from the civil society. Kwa hivyo naomba niwasalimie. Hamjambo? Civil society hoye. Azimio hoye. Asanteni. I do not have to make an apology because it doesn't matter at what stage one may speak. But I know that the keynote reflections will be made by our brother Raila Odinga, and I know our sister mother may want to actually farm it on provisions of Article 35 of our Constitution, the right to information. And I know that As Kenyans, we are concerned about the state, not only of the economy, but the state of the nation of Kenya today. I made a remark over the weekend to which Dr. Ruto replied quickly. And I said I've been in government for quite a time. I've never remember when, any time, cannot remember at any given time when the Kenya government was unable to pay its workers. And government is the largest employer. At the time when we had the Grand Coalition government, and Ndugu Raila will remember, and Mother, we as an economy would raise 97% of our budget. In fact, this is one country that has not relied heavily on borrowings from either IMF or whatever, Bretton Woods, to be able to finance our recurrent expenditure. Therefore, when at the level of the head of state, somebody at that level begins to argue that you cannot borrow in order to finance recurrent expenditure, this is seriously misleading the country. I want therefore to suggest, and allow me to continue with the journey after this, that Sunday in Kamukunji we will be going back to the People's Baraza. Here they are a little afraid as to why we would want to go back to Kamukunji. We have to report progress. I repeat that those who have read a book by the title A Man for All Seasons, you remember, I think Suba, you may have read it. The main character, one of the characters, the Attorney General of the United Kingdom, that is Sir Thomas More. And he said that in the thickest of the law, he was a forester. I have this sense because I've been in negotiations in the region, and of course in our own country, that Kenya Kwanza, let me be respectful to them today, are not serious about this dialogue. They clearly are not. And I think out of this consultative forum, the resolutions that will come out, need to call them out. Yeah, you can always know when somebody is serious. How do you prefix dialogue with the denial in the first place? Denial that this is it, we are not on it, and we can only discuss IEBC reconstitution. That's what makes me think they are not serious about dialogue. I agree with Gaucho. Gaucho said, the ghetto president, he said, these people, there's no dialogue they want. And I want to give him a negotiating principle. Ndugu Gaucho, are you in the house? The ghetto president. It's right there. You find this applicable to Kenya Kwanza. If you cannot dazzle them, dazzling, you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with bullshit. These guys may think they're bullshitting us, but I think we'll give them the bullshit. I'm sorry to use that four-letter word. It comes to a time has come when you must call a spade a spade. Either they are serious about this, or they are not. But even if they are not, they need to recognize Kenyans have equal rights, and that you cannot sit on my rights and pretend you are doing me a favor. Therefore, the right to demonstrate, I think Mama Mombi did it very well on Article 1. We've been quoting Article 37 clearly. I saw Kithure Kindiki making an attempt in Parliament, which is actually even constitutional, because either you go back to the provisions of BBI, which made it possible for ministers. We were suggesting the ministers can come from outside and from Parliament, some of them members of Parliament, in order to deal with question time on the floor of the house. Now they're trying to do it through the window. I think Churchill, they must have learned your tricks on how to become a student. You go to a driving school. That's what they have done. Go to a driving school in order to get them on the floor of the house. But be that as it may, Kithure Kindiki says, the police did not have express orders to fire light bullets at demonstrations. Something tells me he's not an insider. Something is telling me Kithure Kindiki doesn't know. We want him then to tell the country, why is it that an attempt, a deliberate attempt, was made on the life of Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga when we did the demonstrations in Embakasi South? Deliberate. Where was a young man I mentored called Kithure Kindiki? So when he comes to Parliament and makes it look so good, he's sanitizing a regime that has already shown they are willing to spill blood even of the leadership in this country. If it wasn't that Raila Odinga's vehicle was armored, we would be talking a different story. Therefore, from this forum, please join me in demanding a thorough investigation on that attempt on the life of Raila Odinga. Otherwise, it will be casual. We are talking about men and women who don't care about shedding blood. And if they had knocked out Raila Odinga, and the assumption is people will demonstrate for 1 week, for 2 weeks, and they will forget. I think now they know when it comes to demonstrations, Kenyans have a sense of resilience. I agree with others who have said that we should, as we negotiate, if we find there is no good faith, and we said that. I think in the statement that our brother Oparanya issued on our behalf, we have made it clear, if we see evidence of no good faith, as indeed is clearly demonstrable from their own actions and utterances at every level, then the Kenyans have a right to go back to the streets. But imagine taking out Raila Odinga. Would we be thinking about this country? And have we stopped to calculate at whatever level? You assassins, we address you and your financials. Have you tried to calculate even whether it will be safe for you to call Kenya your homeland? Therefore, we must stand strong. We must stand strong. We cannot be cowed. We love this country beyond what these people can imagine. We have no other place to call home. Kwa hivyo nawashukuruni sana. Remember Gaucho, you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them. Baffle them with bullshit. May God bless you and bless our country.
Kenya today. So let us not take this country as a joke. We have children. We have grandchildren. We don't want to leave them on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, I am asking you, Baba, look at us. We are helpless. Tunakuja maandamano alafu tunakutana na watu wako na risasi. Hiyo sio maandamano. Turuhusiwe pia sisi tubebe zetu. Tukutane na wao ndio wajue sisi ni wanaume pia. We do not want jokes anymore in Kenya. Gentlemen, I will remind you about Rwanda, our country, our neighboring country here. A plane was shot down. It had Abariamana and Uliangiamana. They were from here in Nairobi doing negotiation for peace. My friend, 1 million people died. Is that what you want to see in this republic? Alafu mtu anakuja kusema ati Raila anataka handshake. Raila anataka handshake ya nani? Tulimpatia kura na ameshinda. Tunataka handshake ya nani? Open the motherfucker. Samba! Ndio mtajua. Tumeshinda hii kura.
Asante sana.
Nataka niwakumbushe wa Kenya, hiyo ndio serikali imewahi kukusanya pesa kushinda serikali yoyote tumewahi kuwa naye since independence. Kodi ile inatolewa ni hali ya juu zaidi.
pesa hizo mahali zinaenda hatujui. Ya pili, ni vile wamepeana kazi. Mimi na Sanda hapa mbele, baba, unatupenda sana sisi kama watu. Hakuna mkisia hapa hata mmoja. Na kuna wengine walikuwa kwa kodi yako za yote, hata wanakuamuza asubuhi kwa nyumba yako. I'm very bitter about that. We must go to the drawing board. Wengine wanasukuma, wengine ambao ni viongozi tunaona mbele. Mimi vile niko hivi, nimeitwa mikono mingi na wakisi wale wanaenda kugonga kwa mlango ya kututo kwa kufunguliwa pesa. Nimesema sitaenda. Na baba, wacha nikuambie, sijui kama kuna serikali, sijui, sielewi. Mimi sielewi makosa yale Ruto amefanya na serikali yake within this very short time. Sijui kama inaweza kurekebishwa namna gani. Distribution of jobs amempa watu ya njia ile namna ya kufanya pesa. Hata muangalie kabisa, na hiyo ni wakumbuzi. Kikuyu anapewa minister, PS ni mtu yake. Nao ndio watu na serikali. If it means incitement, let it be. Anapewa pande hii account ni mtu yake. Pesa inaingia na kuchomolewa, hatutavumilia tafadhali. Nashukuru sasa, nataka nikupe kiongozi baba kutoka. Kana hii kijana uge nilimwona hapa. Hata kama kwa sababu tuna wabunge. Kana msichana yule ambao ulinominate ambaye nominated MP. Irene Maya. Wabunge ambao wamechaguliwa na tiketi yake. Wacha kuwa na huruma sana. You are my friend. If there is a friend of yours, the true friend, ni mimi. Wacha nikuambia huruma, wacha. Amngopoto burangata. Ulitunyima mbunga ambaye tungechagua ukatupatia sarakasi. Call election there. Mimi ni mpoda warangata. Sitaki kuongea mengi. Nafikiria nimekumbuza na yale machache ambayo nimekuwa naye, ningeongea mengi.
The last time niliongea na baba tulikuwa University of Nairobi, an alumni, na baba alikuwa atupe 6,000. Na hiyo 6,000 ilikuwa ikuje the first week of the month. Kwa hivyo kama hawangetufanyia vipindi, saa hii ningekuwa na 4,000 imebaki, kwa sababu alikuwa amesema 6,000. Alafu hiyo nyingine tunapeleka weekend. Baba, I'm the national chairperson of people with disabilities in Jubilee. Kuna hii issue ya cost of living, na kwa sababu in your wisdom I wish you tied to the issue of social protection. Kwa sababu hiyo issue ya cost of living, it really affects people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Na hiyo social protection, it delays, haikuji, inapelekwa fani, and if it can be added, we can solve this issue for once and for all, because we are as strong as our weakest link. Issue ya pili, nimeambiwa niongea moja lakini nitaongea mbili, ni hiyo issue ya IEBC. Hiyo issue ya IEBC iko na mambo mengi ndani yake, including vituko na vipindi ambayo IEBC wamekuwa wakifanyia people with disabilities ambao wanataka kuwa nominated in county assemblies and in national assemblies. Issue 2 ndani ya IEBC ni voter apathy ya vijana. And that is why sisi tumekuwa request baba, please make it to be all inclusive, because our issues are very many na hatuwezi miss chance ya kuongelelea hiyo maneno. Number 3 and lastly, tungependa kuambia baba is that people have been really requesting to join the maandamano. I was there. Ni vile tu niliona tear gas ilikuwa mingi, but we really want to go to the maandamano. So make the maandamano safe and then we shall come back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. May God bless you. Karibu. Baba Karua, Father Wabalwa. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Joseph Ngeno. Mimi ni Azimio chairman Bomet County. I've come here to also show solidarity to the people of Kenya for this fight for social justice. And I'm just here because the time my issue is only one, I'm going to explain one issue. But the problems that the people of this country are going through are the same. People in Bomet, people in Mandera, Mombasa, Busia are experiencing the same problems. Kama hii shida ya mishahara, for example, I'm a retired civil servant, mimi sijalipwa, ingawa mimi natoka upande huko bado naweza fikiria wanapata special treatment. So I'm saying that we have people in all parts of this country who are with you, Baba,
in solidarity for this fight. We are also saying that with respect to the server, we know that if you said you want, the best thing would be open it so that the people can see. Otherwise, I just want to give you salamu kutoka Bomet. Asante sana, Mungu abariki.
Asante mzee. Karibu. Annington Oguk, the Kuso Nyanza coordinator and the president emeritus, Meru University. Comrades power! Comrades viva! I'm here specifically for one thing, the issue on comrades. We know very well Baba is the fourth arm of government. And so being a government, it means you have everything. So I'm going to request Baba, because it is a government. Baba is a government. Baba, students in this country who are the next leaders in this country are really going through hard times. The specific one is students are being traumatized. We have institutions whereby students are being subjected into punishment, suspensions, and expulsion. But because we are a government, I'm requesting, let us have part of the judiciary that only listen to the cases raised by the comrades. Comrades power! Just the same way we have the juvenile courts. Because right now, to a point that the other day you had students who are having the candle lighting, condoling with our fellows who were involved in accident. You find that as students being subjected to a suspension or to an expulsion just for doing such a thing. So many students have been sent home. Baba, let's have, may we have, I'm requesting, may we have part of the judiciary that only listen to the cases of the students. As you witnessed what happened in Mary University sometimes back, when the vice chancellor was being taken away, we stood firm and we ensured that he was reinstated. And we want to thank God for that. But some of us were almost being taken home for fighting for what is right. Now, how will we help Kenya if almost those students who have the right, who have the voice, are being taken home? So that was my request. Thank you so much.
Thank you, comrade.
Amjambo. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Wambugo na nataka kwanza kushukuru Baba kwa yale amefanyia hii nchi. Nakumbuka wakati mmoja 1989 nilikuwa nafanya kazi pahali kunaitwa Com Club. Baba nikienda kazini alikuwa anatoka hapo kwa Ministry of Foreign Affairs asubuhi mapema, tukaweviana hivi haja kama hakuwa anajua. Alafu jioni alikuwa naenda ofisi pale Haji. Jioni wakati nilienda nyumbani kufungua KBC, nikasikia mtoto wa Jaramogi Odinga amewekwa kizuizini na imesainiwa na mtu alikuwa anaitwa Cabinet Justice Ole Tipis. Sasa tangu wakati huo mimi nimesimama na Baba na nimekuwa nikimfuatilia. Nimekuwa nikipigwa na watu nikiwaambia hata 2013 mimi natoka ubaya, na nataka kuambia wana youth hasa nyinyi, Kimathi wakati alienda msituni alikuwa in his 20 years, na nyinyi sasa Baba anataka kumkabidhi hii nchi, na tukimfuata kwa sababu wako na maono ya nchi, na kuambia tutatoboa. Youth mujikakamue, tufuate Baba, na najua ako na maono mazuri kwa hii nchi yetu, na niko na furaha kwa kuona Wairia na ndugu yangu Kioni hawa wametoka from their comfort zone, na sisi tumesema pia tutawafuata kwa sababu tumeona yale mambo inaendelea katika hii nchi ni ya kutendanisha. Umaskini ile iko hapa nchini na unaona watu hawajali. Yaani juzi niliambia mtu hii mambo ya sijui courage ni Kikuyu chauvinism in politics itaisha, na itaisha kama tunafuata Baba wakiwa na mother, kwa sababu nchi inaweza haribika. Tuko yale katika hali mbaya kabisa, lakini tukitoka Wailia na sasa nafurahi kwa sababu nilikuwa na shida uko wapi, lakini sasa umejitokeza, na kwa hivyo sisi tuko kwa laini hiyo, na kwa sisi nyinyi tafadhali tufuate baba, na najua ako na maono mazuri kwa hii nchi.
Asante sana mzee.
People's power. People's power. A people united shall never be defeated. Turundie hiyo, a people united shall never be defeated. My name is Florence Kanywa, a social justice activist. Baba ananijua kama Nyameru, maana mimi nimesimama na baba miaka yote na sitarudi nyuma. Baba, kile nataka kukuambia mchana wa leo, usilegeze kamba, sababu nimeangalia kwa umbali, naona wale watu ile vitu wanafanya ni kipindire. Ile kitu wanafanya ni nini? Ni kipindire. Na mimi naambia baba asilegeze kamba, wakienda kwa mazungumzo wasilete yale wao wanataka, na walete mambo yale tunataka kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na kama vile comrades zangu wamesema hapa, akina Ngaucho, akina Ruth Mombi, ninasema hakuna haki itapatikana kama tumekaa tumejikunja hivi. Lazima njoto iwe inaendelea hapa nje. Viva comrades, viva!
Asante madam.
Viva comrades, viva! Baba, kabla niondoke hapa nataka kusema hivi. Nashukuru Mungu sana kwa kutupatia wewe kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Nashukuru Mungu sana kwa kulinda wewe miaka yote, na nashukuru sana sababu wewe ulichukua jukumu la kutetea mwananchi wa kawaida kila wakati. Na nasema hivi, baba, ukiwa mbele yetu, ukisema right turn, sisi ni right turn. Ukisema about turn, ni about turn. Ukisema forward march, we'll forward march. Na tunasema Mungu akulinde, na hii mambo ya kutoa kiti ya uongozi wa rais kabila moja mwaka huu, hiyo ingine inarudi hapo. Hiyo kitu lazima tuikatae, hata kama ni kupitia kwa katiba, iwe sasa kiti inakuwa rotational. And I know Raila Amolo Odinga is an institution. Raila Amolo Odinga is a movement. Raila Amolo Odinga is people's driven leader, not an individual leader. Thank you so much. Long live Baba.
Nairobi. Na sisi Oka tumepitia mambo mingi sana in the hands of the government. There's a one thing who said in Kenya's political language or parlance, a common citizen is a person who is as far removed as possible from the reach of state regimes and its benefits, but is constantly a victim of its violent power. That is what we have been facing in this country for the last, I would say, 60 years, though I'm yet to be 60 years. So, tumejaribu kufuata justice, na tuliandika petition hapa, tukaandika barua, na ninataka kusema mchana kucha hapa, I mean in broad daylight. Hizi barua nilipatia various leaders in this country, various prominent leaders in this country, and I will not be afraid to say who and who. I'll mention them by names. I gave these letters to Raila Odinga first, I gave them to Mother Karua, I gave them to Mwangi wa Iria, the former governor of my country, of my county, Murang'a County. But none of them tried to respond to us about how we could get justice for our people. It's very sad, it's very bad. I hate the way we do things in this country. Come at way to make the institutions of this country to make for everyone, then we are only playing games. Because we will not be here forever. Not be here forever. We should do it not for us but for posterity. So I want to question why, to know from our leaders if I can get whatever feedback. Because one thing I thought that by approaching Mother Karua as a former justice and constitutional minister, I thought she would be in a position to help us to get justice for our people. Our people were maimed, others were killed,
by the City Council and the Kenya Police, and many areas were confiscated. And today, many of our people are living with those cars. But we have tried to seek justice, but nobody is coming to our aid. Nobody is coming to our help. I think in the end, we say with Martin Luther King Jr., that in the end, we remember not the noise of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So ile ningetaka ni kupata jibu from our leaders if ile maneno nimesema kama ni ya kweli, because we should follow up and get our leaders to get working for us. They should be working for us, not the other way around.
Asante sana. Nafikiri hiyo inaeleweka, na wakati unaketi nitakutuma kwa protocol officer. Of course,
just one thing about unemployment to our youth. Most of the youth currently they are unemployed, and kwa ile manifesto yetu ile Azimio, Baba aliongea about 6K, and I still believe that hiyo ndoto yetu Baba one day vile nasukuma, hata sisi wenyewe kama vijana tuko nyuma yake, tunataka akue president, ili zile ndoto zile manifesto zenye alisema ile 6K vijana wapate. Currently most of the youth they are unemployed, they don't have job. Sasa ukienda mtaa unapata most of the youth wako tu base zile jaba base wanakula tu mireni whatever, which is not good. Another thing, hii mambo ya Baba anapata mambo ya maandamano, tunataka hii maandamano iendelee. Juu vijana tunaumia. Hii maandamano wakati wale viongozi wetu wa saba wanatueleza pale mbele, sisi pia tunataka vile tuko ucha alisema every Monday maandamano ikuwe kila siku, ili wakati wanamalizana na ile mambo ya bipartisan, sisi pia sababu wakati tunaongea wakituona kama tuko barabarani watatimiza vitu zetu. Another team kaka moja
teen moms and women in general, na pia the working class ambao wako Mathare. Mimi mwenyewe nimetoka Mathare, na sisi tukitokea 20th siku ya maandamano tulitokea because of the high cost of living ambayo tuna experience sana, ambayo inatuumiza sisi kama wananchi ambao wako huko chini at the grassroots level. Bado hiyo haija change, na tunasema mediation ikiendelea huko na bipartisan room in the bipartisan room, sisi tunafaa pia sisi tunaendelea, kwa sababu Hon Kalonzo here amesema those people do not have direction, and sisi kama watu hatuwezi kubali kulidiwa with people who hawana direction. We should give direction, na direction ni we put pressure so that the right team yepo hapo mbele, so that kile sisi yenye tunataka sisi kama wananchi wa huko chini, na sisi kama women ambao tunateseka kila siku, as we know that Cha has said before, tunataka vitu ambazo tunataka zikuwe presented hapo mbele. Na pia what Vincent has just said here, majority of the youths are not employed, na ndio inaleta also crisis zenye zinaendelea. Kuna high cost of living, kuna crime ambayo inaendelea kwa mitaa yetu, na ni kwa sababu vijana wameenda shule, wazazi wamewasomesha, lakini hakuna employment, na ni kwa sababu ya government ambayo iko imejiposition hapo kama government ya Ruto, ambayo haina interest ya the youth that had. So ni lazima to march siku ya 7/7, twende tuwatoe State House na tuweke the right people who ambao wako na interest ya the people at heart.
Thank you. Baggy and all protocol observed. I want to start by saying that as the Azimio la Umoja Coalition parliamentary group, we fully associate ourselves with the sentiments that have been expressed since this morning, and more particularly, we fully adopt the position taken by the social justice sector on this issue. Fully. Let me just ask those MPs who are here to just stand so that you may know them. Just stand and wave. Very good. Asanteni sana. We also have in our midst the leader of majority of the Nairobi County Assembly, Mheshimiwa Peter Matok, and I think their whip, Mheshimiwa Moses Ogeto, and all the MCS who are here. Kindly be upstanding for you to be acknowledged. Thank you very much. And let me say this about the so-called bipartisan process. You are aware, and all of us are aware indeed, that in the election of August 2022, upwards of 8 million Kenyans who are registered voters did not vote. So the question is, how can Parliament pretend to be representing those people and yet we do not know to which political formation they belong? And that's why we are saying that unless that bipartisan process is opened up to include external players, including the church, the student unions, the workers, the youth, the women, and everybody else, they cannot be allowed to proceed. And that is going to be the point of departure. That process can only be an extra parliamentary process. In any case, we know that Parliament has never offered solutions to this country whenever we have wanted solutions. As a matter of fact, Parliament has on many occasions been an impediment to the country's progress. And therefore, the Parliament of Kenya cannot pretend to be an alpha or omega. We must open up those discussions to include everybody else who don't subscribe to either Azimio or Kenya Kwanza. Namna hiyo. La pili, the current economic situation that we are facing, which has resulted in the government for the first time in our history failing to pay its workers, is directly linked or related to that election of August last year and its outcome, which we have rejected. Because anywhere else in the world, when a regime comes into power, it must first inspire confidence. If it is a legitimate administration, it must be able to reassure the investors, the business, the market, without even saying or doing anything. What we have seen with the Kenya Kwanza regime is the exact opposite. It has scared away everybody else, the investors, the market, and we have got a lot of uncertainty, which can only be addressed by opening up the server. And on the matter of the server, Your Excellency Baba, we are aware that Venezuelans have been here for the past 3 or so weeks. They were sent to come and try to tamper with the server, so that eventually, if the pressure is too much on them, they can open it up, and then we find falsified records. Those Venezuelans, we have been on their track. We have been trailing them. They have been able to escape our dragnet. The last 2 weeks or so, they were staying in our hotel in installation. When they realized we are on their tracks, they moved. They are on the run, but they are still in the country. We are also aware that they have had a meeting with a former CEO of IEBC. They have equally had a meeting with a former chairman of IEBC. So we want to caution them, wherever they are and their sponsors, that they are in our radar. And we cannot allow this country to move on unless and until we open up the server and get the true position. Finally, we want to agree with those who have spoken here before us that we can skate the stairs as we chew gum. We can negotiate in an extra parliamentary process as we continue with the people actually out here. And we, members of the Azimio parliamentary group, are going to be in the forefront, alongside fellow actors. We also have with us a message of solidarity that has been sent by Kenyans in diaspora, led by Madam Comfort Munoro Mwangi, who is currently in the US. They had an online meeting yesterday of Kenyans in diaspora who support this movement with the MDD, Bunge la Wananchi, and many other actors. And they have sent a speech which should have been read here, but because of time we shall share it out after this. And therefore, with those preliminary remarks, allow me to just ask two MPs, one representing the National Assembly, who is Honorable Aladwa, to come and just say a jambo, and the leader of minority coalition in the Senate, the Honorable Senator Stewart Mazayo. Just 1 minute each before I give the microphone back to the Honorable Waziri Eugene Wamalwa to proceed with the program. Thank you.
Asante Mheshimiwa Mandai. Hamjambo wote. Mimi nataka kusema mambo matatu kwa sababu viongozi wako hapa na wale wameitwa wote wamezungumza kulingana na mahali umetoka na mahali unawakilisha. Naitwa Mheshimiwa Ladwa, nikitoka kaunti Nairobi. Mambo yangu ni matatu. My party leader, kwanza hii mambo ya kunegotiate na watu ambao hawajielewi, na nimesikia watu wameongea hapa na watu ambao hawajielewi waoni mbele. Kwanza tuko disappointed kwa mambo ya Monday wakati ulairisha maandamano. Hiyo lazima tuseme. Next time wewe kwenda kwa hiyo maandamano, wewe ongea na hao tuache tupambane huko street. Hao watu waelewi lugha nyingine. Hata mkisema mchague kompyuta 20 hata milioni 1 hawatasikia. So lugha ya kusikia, na nasikia wengine wanakutukana kama Gachagua, mtu ambaye hata koti imeangalia left, longi imeangalia right, hata kuvaa jui, na namka na mdomo yake kubwa anatukana kiongozi wetu ambaye alienda kwa ballot. Sisi wajumbe tumesema, na mimi nataka wale wajumbe kwa hapa, Mheshimiwa President wetu, watu waamuke. Si wakisikia president kwa mahali fulani na Martha Karua na Eugene wanakimbia hapo, saa maandamano hawako. The next maandamano party leader tunataka iwe coordinated. Kuna vijana hapa wana groups hapa Nairobi, inakuwa disappointed maandamano kisha hawajui wanaenda wapi na wanatoka wapi, na wamesimama na wewe. Tunataka tuwe na proper organization. Vijana wetu wakimaliza tunajua wamepigwa risasi, huyo ameumia, huyo amefanya hivi, ndio tunajua tunakoleta watu wetu wale wameumia. Inakuwa vibaya sana, tumemaliza maandamano, watu wetu hawajui mahali pa kuelekea. Baba, watu wanakupenda. Mambo ya kuarisha mambo wachana nayo. Wacha tupambane. Watu tu wapambane. Wangapi wananuka mkono? Hiyo ndio feeling ya watu na ndio mood ya watu. Wewe kwenda kuarisha, uliza Martha, uliza Eugene, mkikubaliana kwa room huko ni yetu. Mkitoka huko nyinyi mnyamaze. Wacheni watu waende kwa street. Ya mwisho, hapa kuna mtu muoga. Hapa hakuna mtu muoga. Sasa hivi tena nasikia wamefukuza mama ambaye ni wa jamii yetu kutoka Western, DG wetu wa NYS, Madam Sakwa. Mama Asha Juma amemfukuza kazi saa hii asubuhi kwa sababu alikataa kufanya mambo ya deal yake ya kufanya tendering. Wamefukuza huyo Mluya mama, na Waluya wako huko kubwa wako huko Kenya kwanza wamenyamaza. Na wao ni mama wetu Mluya amefukuzwa kutoka Viga County. Tunasema watufukuze wasitufukuze, tunangoja baba kwa president atuteue tena. Na sisi tunajua kwa Mwenyezi Mungu baba atafika mahali atakokuwa. Na mtu muoga hapa, aende kwao. Baba, kuna wajumbe, nikimaliza, wajumbe wana heshima na adabu, hata wa ODM. Saa zile kwa mahali wanakuja kujipendekeza, saa maandamano wanajificha.
maandamano kisha wanakufuata. Kama ni maandamano, iwe maandamano. Tukiongozwa na nani? Na wadai. Tunaona kila mtu, wadai weka register. Get nomination, wapewe wale wamefanya kazi. Kuna wajumbe huko vile mmesikia kama Lang'ata ameenda, Game ameenda, si wapi ameenda. Baba bisha makucha yako. Fukuza watu kwa chama, toa watu kwa chama, uende by election. Mimi niko tayari kuandika hiyo barua hata kama sina cheo kubwa kwa ODM. Mungu awabariki.
Haya, asante sana.
Na Mama Martha, viongozi wetu, itifaki zote zikiangaliwa. Na ndugu zangu, mimi nataka kusema kitu kimoja ya kwamba imefika wakati sasa ni lazima hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza iabuke. Hawana njia yoyote ya kufanya kisheria kuweza kuchukua yule mbunge mmoja ambaye sisi tuko naye pande hii akiwa ni mbunge wa Jubilee. Na Jubilee kama mnavyojua iko ndani ya Azimio. Hivi sasa wanaanza kuchukua watu wetu wakisema kwamba wanaweka kwao ili waweze kufanya lile jopo la wale wabunge ambao tumechagua. Saba upande huu, saba upande huu. Mnaweza kuona kijana ama mtu anaitwa Eden Keinan. Mheshimiwa Eden Keinan, yeye ni mfuasi wa Jubilee. Kwa hiyo yeye yuko chini ya Kioni. Na ni makosa sana na ukosefu wa sheria ikiwa mnaweza kuchukua mbunge ambaye yuko pande huu alafu mkamchukua mkasema yuko pande wenu. Kwa hiyo baba, sisi tunasema equity ambayo ni sheria inasema if you want equity to come to you, if you want equity to help you, you must come with clean hands. Na tayari katika hili jopo bado tumefanya baba la wale watu ambao ni waheshimiwa ndani ya bunge, saba upande huu wa Azimio na saba upande wa Kenya Kwanza. Mimi ninaona nia hiyo haiko, wao hawako tayari kwa msururu huu wa kwamba tutaweza kuongea kwa lugha ambayo tutaelewana. Lugha ambayo Kenya Kwanza inaweza kuelewa ni maandamano peke yake, hakuna lugha nyingine. Kwa hiyo sisi hakuna kurudi nyuma, hakuna kuogopa. Baba akisema tuende right, tutaenda right, akisema tuende left, tutaenda left. Mimi nasema njia moja tu moja. Wewe kama mwanaume, wewe kama mwanamke, wewe kama kiumbe cha Mwenyezi Mungu, ulizaliwa siku moja. Na mwezi huu ni mwezi mtukufu, mwezi wa Ramadhani. Ujue siku moja utakufa. Lakini hii nchi ya Kenya itaendelea. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba hii nchi ya Kenya ni muhimu kuliko mtu yoyote, ni kubwa kuliko hata Ruto mwenyewe. Kwa hiyo sisi hatutaogopa mtu yoyote. Baba, tuko tayari. Ukisema tuingie uwanjani, tutaingia uwanjani, tutapambana nao vilivyo bila kuogopa. Asanteni sana.
Haya, asante sana Mheshimiwa Mazao Adipo Ukume. Tunaye mbunge wa Ndhewa Mheshimiwa Martin Owino, mbunge wa Mwingi Central Mheshimiwa Architect Gideon Mulyungi. Na tulikuwa na wale wabunge wenye kamiti ya negotiations kiongozwa na Otiende Amolo, walikuwa wote na kila wameenda nje kidogo. La mwisho Senator wa Migori Mheshimiwa Eddie Okech. Asante sana. Wacha nitambue former DG wa Nyeri, tena kiongozi wa wanawake wa Azimio Mheshimiwa Daktari Caroline Karubu. Asante sana. Waziri Eugene Wamalwa. Sasa nitakukabidhi hii microphone uendelee na ratiba. Asante sana. May God bless you.
Comrades power. Asanteni sana comrades kutukaribisha hapa. Mimi nilikuwa comrade hapa miaka mingi kidogo iliyopita. Na nilikuwa naambia baba wakati nilikuwa mwanafunzi hapa, nilikuwa nakaa Mamlaka Hall. Wale tulikuwa wanasheria, engineers tulikuwa pale, na kila mara tulisikia Jaramogi anakuja hapa, Masinde Muliro, Martin Shikuku na wengi waliokuwa wanapigania uhuru wa pili, kukiwemo Young Turks wakati huo, kina Raila, kina Orengo. tulikuwa tunakuja hapa kuwasikiza, lakini pia walikuwa wanatusikiza. Na leo nashukuru sana Odoro Mwenye Zain kuhakikisha wenye boma hili comrades wamepewa nafasi wawe nasi siku ya leo, sababu hawa ndio tunapigania Kenya ijayo, Kenya iliyoko sasa. Tumewasikiza siku ya leo. Kazi yetu leo ilikuwa ni kuwasikiza ninyi, na zaidi najua hapa mnataka msikize baba na mama. Mumechoka sana kukaa masaa mengi hapa, lakini kabla tutaleta baba na mama, kuna viongozi wachache naomba mtupe dakika chache tu wasalimu, alafu tulete mama, atuletee baba. Mnatupa hiyo ruhusa? So wengi wamekuwa wanasema ati mlima Kenya hauko na baba, ati baba alishindwa kupanda mlima. Hapa tuna viongozi kutoka mlima Kenya. Nimemsikiza kwa makini sana yule mzee kutoka Othaya. I've never met a more sincere man. Ukimsikia, he spoke from the heart. Na kuna watu wengi kule Othaya kule ametoka na mlima Kenya ambao wamesimama na baba. Yale mumeona hapa siku ya leo yanaonyesha ule ukora ulifanyika katika uchaguzi. Na mlima Kenya was one of the most affected regions. Nataka kwanza nianze kumleta aliyekuwa deputy governor wetu wa Nyeri. Bikarugu aje atusalimu. Musikie sauti kutoka Nyeri kule, bwana Rigathi Gachagua.